Welcome and good morning to everybody. It's time to get our meeting started. In fact, my watch says that it's a minute and a half too late, but we'll ignore that and go ahead. There's a quorum present. I ask that you stand for the opening prayer and remain standing for the pledge of allegiance. Shall we pray?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and the blessings you give us that give this county. Help us today to make the right decisions for the benefit of all. We ask that you be with our country during these times of question of what direction we're going. We ask this in your name.
Amen. Join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Has anybody signed up to speak?
Yes, sir, there's two this morning, sir. The first one is Cheryl Moy.
Cheryl.
Good morning, Commissioners Court.
I'm going to stand over at the mic.
Good morning, Commissioners Court. My name is Cheryl Moy, and I'm here to address an issue that I feel like needs to be talked about just a little bit. I know that y'all are changing, and we're going to be doing some different things with our roads. And I don't want to sound ungrateful when I say this, but they just built a beautiful road, County Road 199, and it is really nice. However, it doesn't connect to anything. There was a lot of money spent on that road, and you know, when I was in kindergarten, they taught us to connect the dots, and that was certainly an example of like a planning, I feel like, on our part as a county, and not connecting it. If they would have just gone a little bit further down on 197 and gone to 1144, it would have made access from 1144 all the way over to 791, which goes out towards Campbellton. But they chose just to stop it right there at the end, and it goes nowhere. And so, yes, it is a very heavily trafficked road, and it's nice that it's paved, and we just happen to be a landowner there. But there aren't a lot of people that are living down that road. However, it's just a concern to me that we continue to invest money in directions that don't always connect the dots. So I'm here to ask you to please, with this new person coming in, that y'all look at these roads. And I know you have a difficult time doing that, but I think it would be very worthwhile if you would go back and look at 199, 197, and maybe try to finish connecting those dots. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Who else?
Maurice Charter.
Maurice.
Good morning. The Commissioner Court has hired a new road engineer for Karnes County and Road and Bridge Department, and they are to be applauded for that action. But now comes the question of what to do with the administrator, Mr. Wozniak. Commissioner's Court is going into executive session to discuss Mr. Wozniak's future at Road and Bridge and his salary if he remains. Mr. Wozniak's past performance is questionable at best. He is the highest paid employee of the county. He works 4 days a week, and he has yet to be accountable by this Commissioner's Court. In addition, his department has the largest budget in the county. Mr. Wozniak has spent millions on road material and culverts, hundreds of thousands of dollars on new equipment, and we have no idea where it is or where it's being used. Mr. Wozniak was directed to prepare a plan for Road and Bridge Department and blatantly told the Commissioner's Court he will not do that and has not done that to this date. And he's also stated in this court that he doesn't know how to build a road, and he has gotten away with it. Mr. Wozniak, on behalf of the county, has accepted in-kind donations from Encana for road haul-out and has not reported the details of that activity to this Commissioner's Court as required by the Transportation Code and the Government Code. Mr. Wozniak has produced a detailed map of the paved roads in this county, which is inaccurate. For example, his official map, and I checked this information here at the county, indicates that County Road 330 has been paved for 1/2 mile. Well, I live on County Road 330, and I'm telling you, there's not 1 square foot of pavement on that road. In addition, he is now, as we speak, paving or chip sealing County Road 354 on which he lives. County Road 354, before he even started, compared to the other roads in this county, was like a super highway. He's chip sealing that road, but the worst part of it is, it's not on any approved list, not by this county. So, in my view, it's a misuse of, or misapplication of government equipment, government property, and government manpower. He has refused to develop a road repair and maintenance plan. He has failed in his fiduciary duties, and I would ask that the Commission's Court put on the next agenda that Mr. Wozniak be immediately terminated for his lack of performance since his hiring, and that a complete audit of road and bridge be directed to ensure that the new road and bridge administrator is protected in case there's any loss of material or any misappropriation of assets. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, the court has copies of the minutes. I'm not going to ask that they be read. I'll ask, if you have not read them, that we take a few minutes while you read them, and if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for any changes that need to be made, please let us know immediately. Let's take a few minutes for the court to read them. They've been ready, and I don't think everybody has read them yet.
Find anything, Shelby?
I didn't find
I didn't find anything. I read them.
And I've read through them and did not find anything. Okay, all right, we will order them filed as prepared and presented. Item 8 on the agenda, item 7 on the agenda, report of fees, fines, money collected by the following departments. County clerk.
I do not have mine ready this morning. I will have it ready for the next Commissioners Court meeting.
All right.
Thank you.
District clerk, is she here? We got her report. She's not in the room. District clerk's report shows the collected fees for $5,646. Got a breakdown listing of all the fees, where they're from to total that amount. Checks to be disbursed, $4,101 for felony probation, $54.25 for pre-sentence investigation, $360 for El Sanchez collection over deposit, district clerk of $4, and a total of $4,515.25. Grand total of income of $21,313. Checks disbursed from that office were $4,515.25 as stated. Total for the month was a net of $16,797.75. There's a listing of the deposits. Each of you can read. Any questions or comments from any of the court concerning the report from the district clerk? If not, I'll order them filed as presented, and we'll move on. The hot check collections for the month by the county attorney's office for January were $570, and the county attorney's office for this year beginning this calendar year from January 1st of 15 through January 31st of 16 was $17,912.64 compared to last year. They're down considerably, and the year-to-date last year of 1/31/14 through the 11/30/14 was $39,129.32. County attorney works hard at this, and I think the lower amount is probably a result of his hard work in his office and what he's done on the collections. And that's not supposed to be a money-making project, and hopefully it will continue to stay down. It's good for our merchants and our banks, and that's what we need it to be good for. So I'll order that filed. Reports from the justices of the peace.
Justice of the Peace, 1. New cases filed, 124. Amount collected, kept by the county, $15,584.89. Remitted to the state, $8,720.81, for a grand total of $24,305.70. Also be noted that I asked the JP1 to give us a breakdown of the DPS license and weight offenders, and she said there was, I guess, 6 months, and there were like 36 cases filed by the DPS on license and weight. Precinct 2, Judge Puzekwa, 2 new cases filed is 81. Amount kept by the county, $16,505.13. Kept remitted to the state, $8,761.77, for a grand total of $25,266.90. JP3, total new cases filed 81, retained by the county $16,911.32, remitted by the state to the state $8,133.88, for a total of $25,045.20. JP4, new cases filed was 66. Kept by the county, $8,130.68, remitted to the state, $4,062.02, and for a total of $12,192.70. That's all the JP did.
Thank you. Order those filed. Juvenile Department.
New cases for beginning of the month were 8. Number on deferred prosecution 4. Number on formal probation 4. Number pending referrals 13. Total fines collected was $35.
Percentage of collections was 71%. County road and permitting special projects that's a county road, bridge, and bridge permitting.
Okay. Judge, the one that you have in your file that I think this pertains to is the one that Helen gives us on our number of sewer permits and floodplain for this month. The total collected on floodplain applications was $1,375, and there was no fees paid to the engineer on that, so at this portion the county retains $1,375. And the sewer permits, the total paid in was $950. The inspector's portion was 350, TECQs was 20, county retained $580, number of new homes built 1, and there's a layout on which the commissioners can look at of how the fees were accumulated along with the report.
Thank you.
And incidentally, Helen is helping Road and Bridge with the sign department now, so.
Good. All right, Sheriff's Department.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning to everyone. I'm here on behalf of Sheriff Villanueva, who's out this morning. Our monthly report, our alarm calls, we had 13. Domestic calls, we had 10. We had 10 disturbances and fight, 2 disturbances and fight calls called in. We had 3 criminal mischiefs, age harassment. We had 152 EMS calls we assisted with during the month. We had 12 fires. We had 20 escorts. We had 48 calls of loose livestock in the county. Prisoner transports, we had 65. Request to speak or an officer, 174 calls. Road hazard, where citizens called in about things on the highway, 33. Suspicious activity calls, 15. Suspicious subject vehicle calls, 24. We had thefts, we had 13 of them reported. We had 16 burglaries reported during the month. As the oil field prices have gone down, we've seen the rise in thefts and burglary calls coming in. Warrant serves, we had 31. Welfare checks, where citizens called and asked us to check on someone, we had 26. We had 14 assault calls. Miscellaneous calls, 195. We had 23 calls of reckless drivers, where citizens called in and reported someone driving recklessly. Traffic stops that the deputies made were 576 during a month. Out of those, 261 were citations and 279 were warnings. Accidents, we had 69 wrecks reported during the month. We made 86 arrests during the month. And we had 1,118 911 calls that came through the center. The court asked us to break down the citation by license and weight. We just didn't have enough time to do that, y'all. I requested that at the last meeting, but I will report that next month. We'll get that for y'all.
I don't want to make life miserable for you either, Robert, but would it be possible, without a great deal of manpower expended on it, to know how many of these citations were issued on county roads as opposed to state highways?
I can make a note of that real quick.
That would be good. I mean, I'm not trying to micromanage the department, don't misunderstand me, but I personally am interested that your officers are working the county roads as much as the main highways.
We have gotten a lot of requests for that, Commissioner, the different roads they're hauling out on especially, and so we have been working a lot on county roads. But we will break that down for y'all next month and get that to y'all. We had a busy month. The trail riders are in town, as y'all know now, so we have a lot of manpower there. And then yesterday we served a narcotics search warrant here in Karnes City at one of the local motels right across from the Karnes City High School. We shut down a meth distributor that was selling ice methamphetamine out of that hotel right in front of the school, within 1,000 foot of the school zone. So we made 2 arrests there, and so we shut that activity down. So we were busy yesterday with that. So we have a lot of things going on behind the scenes to report.
I see your jail population, the highest month was up at the highest 46.
That's correct, and I'm sorry, I should have told y'all, but it's averaging between 30 and 46. They've been going up and down, and we're making good progress with the new jail. We're hoping to get the rest of the things done. The utilities are done, so I think we're making good progress. We're hoping that, and Lorraine will tell y'all more about that in a little bit, but hopefully we can get in there pretty quick. Any questions?
I have one. The citations and warnings, 261, 279, total 540. What happened between, well, it'd be 36 cases from the 576 traffic stops,
Those are
and there were only 540 citations and warnings given. What were the other?
verbal, they're verbal. When you stop somebody, just tell them to slow down, do whatever, you don't write an actual piece of paper. Those are considered verbal warnings.
Okay,
Just no, or really, we just tell citizens to be aware of what they're doing. They're driving, so they're
All right.
just verbal.
That's what they do when they stop you, Judge.
they don't stop me. I've got a sign on my car that says Judge Law, do not stop.
On the license plate, right, Judge?
Right. Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
EMS.
For the month of January, as Chief said, we had 152 EMS dispatch requests. And out to the side, I noted that last January we had 132, so we're up about 20 calls from last January. Resulted in 156 patients. We transported 116 of those patients, obtained 37 refusals. 9 of those dispatch requests were canceled calls. We had 7 multi-patient calls, multi-patient incidents, 5 air evacuations, 21 out-of-county transports, 6 non-emergency transfers, and 2 fire hazmat standbys for the month. Resulted in 56 trauma patients and 110 medical patients. Excuse me. Puts our year-to-date calls at 152 dispatch requests. The total collections for January were $21,917.18. And that makes our year-to-date from January 1 the same. I know Commissioner Reynolds had asked me last month what the total for last year was as far as billing. The total amount was $802,000,
Wait a minute.
excuse me,
Close enough.
$802,465. That was the total amount we billed out last year. I'm dealing with 2 separate companies right now. The old company, I guess they're kind of mad at me because I haven't gotten anything from them since December, around the 1st of December, which would have been November's deal. I sent them several requests to update me on information that I've sent them. As far as our new billing company, since we started with those guys in the 1st of November 1, we billed to those $145,369 and have collected through them $45,369.53 to this day, to right now. Just to kind of give you, it's running about a third when you look at it. We're hoping that number goes up. I get a lot of great feedback from them that I did not get from the other guys, which was one of the reasons that once the contract ran out with the other guys that I inherited, I wanted to go with somebody that gave us some good feedback, some great feedback, instead of giving me a sales pitch every time I called to ask for some information. So, I mean, I get a breakdown by insurance type, number of payers, amount billed, types of calls billed. I actually get an unbillable report once a week, which allows us to go back and collect extra information that I was not getting from the other guys. So therefore, those claims get billed out faster, and they get where they need to be.
How often do they give you this report?
I get a report weekly.
Weekly?
I get several different types. The monthly report is actually about 10 different reports compiled. The weekly report is the productivity report, what we've actually sent to them, where it goes, where it's been billed. And then along with that's the unbillable report, which if it's missing a signature, if there's a question on an address, if the claim is not, let's say that we got a call from Otto Kaiser to transfer somebody back to a nursing home, maybe they didn't meet exact medical necessity. It tells me that way we know that it needs to be billed back to Otto Kaiser or back to that nursing home versus the patient's insurance. So it's really great information.
Initially, you mentioned that there was some financial information, perhaps on the monthly report. Does it come on a single sheet, or is that a ream of paper?
It's a ream of paper.
Okay. Well, I was thinking if there was a consolidation on top of it, it would not hurt to staple it to your report.
Exactly, and I'm working on that as I get more familiar with everything they're sending me. I mean, there's certain things that I can't bring to y'all because it's protected health information. But there are some good stuff that I plan on looking at this and bringing it to you, and then we'll weed out what y'all think we need and what we don't think we need.
Thank you.
Dennis, explain to them how you receive the stuff that's encrypted versus what's been happening with the HIPAA information in other areas.
Well, one of the big things that HIPAA's been out for 10 years or better, the HIPAA privacy laws. Now it's becoming I don't want to say a big money grab for the federal government, but there seems to be a huge increase in lawsuits. So what I'm looking at right now is all protected healthcare information, even if it's somebody's name, even if it's a run number without the name, if it can be traced back to a patient's healthcare information, if I email it out or send it out, it either has to be uploaded to a secure server or I have to email it. Like Shelby said, it has to be encrypted when I email it, password has to be sent. So we're looking into that to make sure that we're doing the right thing by when we have to send stuff out or we have to, we get so much information in and we want to make sure we're doing it right, but we don't want somebody to come in and investigate us and say we're doing it wrong and turn around and drop a $75,000 or $100,000 fine on our heads, because they're not small fines, they're huge fines when they come to you. So one thing we have to put in place because of this is a HIPAA compliancy officer, which is basically me. But I want to make sure that we're getting it done right. I mean, we're not leaving stuff out there for everybody right now, but the laws are so crazy and so complex that we want to make sure that we're doing them right by the law.
On your report, we report year-to-date calls from January 1st to January 31st.
Yes, sir.
We operate from October to September.
Yes, sir.
Why are you leaving out 3 months of this year's? And on your total of $802,465 bill last year, is that January to December, or is that October to September?
That is January to December. I had it on, I used to have that, it said fiscal year, and I think you asked me about it, why I had the fiscal year on there versus the calendar year, and so I left it off, but I can definitely put that back on there. It's
We need the fiscal
okay.
year.
Then I will do it that way then. Okay,
It doesn't coordinate with budget.
certainly.
The fiscal year does.
And we're 3 months out.
3 months
All
into
right.
it.
The other thing is, of the $802,465 bill, how much was collected?
Collected, I had that in last month, and I did not bring that with me.
Will you bring it to the next meeting?
I'll bring it, Pete, I'll compile all of that, I'm sorry, I should have, I walked off and left that sitting on my desk, I had that number, and I wanted to get that top number out there, but this billing deal right here, and I'll say this is a full-time, 10-hour-a-day job tracking this stuff. So sometimes I'm doing what I can. And I want to make sure we're doing right, because I want to make sure that it's right. And right now, I'm going back and looking at the entire previous year, because the reports I get from those guys, they're not easy to read. Not the new guys, the old guys, AR management. They're not easy to read. And right now, I'm going back and I'm making sure that they put everything in the right place. The number I give you here, that's the checks and the Medicare EOBs that come through my office. So this is a little, it's not off, but I want to make sure, I have to make sure that what I'm telling y'all is what I'm getting that comes from these different guys. I mean, it's self-auditing at its finest, but it's a tedious and time-consuming job of keeping it broke down. And but I will definitely have all those numbers for y'all next.
Well, as Pete said, and from our standpoint, we need to strictly look at this.
Certainly.
And,
Certainly.
I realize that I'm poking at you, but do you recall if the 35% collection rate that you mentioned a few moments ago might have been more or less the same as last year?
It was. We had a little increase in 2014, but we had that big gap in that Medicare that we got the number back, and then so we had about 70,000 added on top of that were Medicare claims that from 2013 that paid well into 2014.
Next
so
year.
the number, when you take that number out, the numbers are pretty close. I think we'll see that percentage go up with this new billing company, because not only do I think they're doing it right, but they're giving us the information that we need to make sure that it gets done the first time instead of the second.
Once and I know you've addressed this, but remind me, once the new billing company basically says we've done all we can, and I don't recall, did you go to a collection agency then?
We actually turn it through them to a collection cycle through them. It's doesn't go to a different company, it stays there, but we just say, yeah, put it in collections. So,
We've had the new one 3 months, is that right?
yes, sir.
And is that a long enough period to really get an idea of how successful they are, or?
No,
it's going to take longer than that?
It's going to take longer than that, but I will say in the 3 months, I've gotten a lot better feedback and a lot quicker response from those folks than I ever have in the two years prior with the last company.
Okay. All right, anything else? Cool.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank
Thank
y'all.
you, Dennis. Okay, we'll move on to item 8 on the agenda, reports from Road and Bridge.
All right, 326 is waiting for the second course. As soon as the weather warms up, they're gonna come in and shoot it. County Road 199 is in the same boat, waiting for it to be warm enough in order to shoot the second course. Once they finish that, those 2 roads will be complete. County Road 211, they're finally getting pretty close to completing the drainage. They're doing all the concrete head walls. 182, they're finishing the drainage, and They're right behind them, laying the grid in the base. AGC is still hauling to County Road 193, 194, 199. Basically, we're doing general maintenance on everything else. 207, we're fixing to mill up that section that busted up real bad. We're gonna go in there and put 4% mortar in there. We've had numerous complaints. That's the one the public actually paid for that road to get fixed. And other than that, we've got everything going as scheduled pretty much. So.
Who's paying for the ones the public doesn't pay for?
We,
We're
the public.
paying,
Yeah,
we're the
we're
public
paying.
also. Public's
Yeah.
paying for all of
Well,
them.
they have the residents on that road back when Jeffrey was the commissioner back then. They actually paid for that road to get paved.
The landowner.
The landowners in that area,
Do
yes.
you have landowners paying for any of them now?
No, sir.
Okay.
We're taking care of it.
Mike, explain 354. That's the 1747 road you're saying?
Yeah, 354 came up on the 1747 list that we've been following and completing and all that. That's the list that you submitted to the state for the roads with the money. And it is a bus route, and back in 2009, it was brought to Commissioner's Court to get paved and everything else. Again, I'm going back behind everything that's been done that the Commissioner's Court had approved back then and now, and repairing them. Because a statement that was brought up by Mr. Yarder was every time Commissioner's Court turns around and says something, they never follow through with it. And that's what I've been doing. That's why we're working on 127. We're getting, that one was ripped up by the road and bridge administrator back then. And that's why we're in the process of getting that redone and everything, and getting that one paved. And we have numerous areas that have been chewed up that we've been trying to get back into normal.
So who's the contractor on 354?
We are.
I thought we were gonna bid those out.
No.
We took it out of the budget.
We took it out of the book.
Yes, sir. But we have our chip spreader, we have our distributor, we have everything, and we're gonna use that as a guinea pig road to see how the county crews can do it. We have our equipment.
So we're doing it ourselves?
We're doing it ourselves, yes,
Is
sir.
that because you live on it? Is that why you're doing it?
No, sir, it came up on the list.
Oh, it did.
Yes, it
The
did.
chip seal list.
It's warm enough?
Huh?
It's warm enough to chip seal?
Yeah, you use that CRS 2P, you can do it.
Well, when do you plan to go to 127?
That's in the seal contract, 2015,
What-
2016.
I guess that's my question is, what makes that road more better than my county road 127 that needs it a lot more?
Because that's done by a contractor, it's not done by county employees.
Well,
It's up to the contractor when he wants to start, it's already a contract. And, the Big Tech's got the contract on that one. And we should be starting a pre-construction meeting on it, and hopefully we can start it. That's the one we got 40 miles of road that we get to do. And we added that one as a supplementary to that contract. And it was bid low enough to where they did grab that and put it in.
My recall was when we took 354 out of the budget, and I do not believe it was specifically stated, but I thought in my mind, there was a lot of issue with the fact that the road was already in pretty darn good shape, and that there were a lot of other roads needed work on them other than that one. And I guess when you assume something, you're letting yourself open for whatever may happen. But in my particular opinion, or in my particular interpretation, when we took that out of the budget, that basically said, don't mess with it. But obviously, that's not the message you got.
No, sir, when you took it out of the budget, it was under total rehab, where you go down to the subgrade, you stabilize the subgrade, you put your geogrid, you come back with your topping, you stabilize your limestone on top, and then you do a 2-quart. We took all of that out of the budget, the total rehab on the whole 5 miles of road. And what we did was, We went back in there, and again, I'm trying to fix what Commissioners Courts in the past have done. and
Why would
that's why
you
I'm
be
doing
doing that, Mike?
Don't
Well, sir, I gotta say
Don't
something.
interrupt, please. I'll remove you from the meeting if you're interrupting me.
So anyway, I'm following through, just like I've been on everything else, that what we have destroyed in the past, I'm trying to bring it back up to par. And that's where I'm standing right now.
You know,
You say about the court in the past, which I'm looking at the minutes from 2009 and February 10th of 2009, almost a year to the day. And several years to the day, it says discuss, approve, or disapprove paving a portion. And to me, the key word is a portion of 354 by County Road and Bridge Department. 354 was paved a portion, but the other direction.
Exactly. Back when James Precinct, he put limestone on that road, and the portion that was supposed to have been paved was going to be the south side of that road. Where Sammy went and was pointed as interim for road and bridge, Sammy paved on top of the I would call just pit run material. He paved from there all the way to his property line and stopped. The portion that James crept up was the part that went all the way to the residence. And that's where I'm continuing, because that's where he put all the limestone and everything on that.
What about the residents on the other end of 354 that were?
That was not addressed at the time when James was there. I don't know what James is, because that's when it went from precincts to the unit system.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, and I don't remember everything. That was 6 years ago, so I'll try to the best of my knowledge to remember. I remember that's when the county, the citizens voted in the unit system, and we had some money left in precinct 3, so what we did was we went ahead and paved the roads that we already had paved back then, and on this particular road, we had put a bunch of, we had put a base material on there. I think it was from GEM at the time, not really sure, but we put a lot of the base material. I brought it to court. It's probably on the audio somewhere back then we were taking to. And I told them that we didn't want to waste that material, that we needed to put some paving on there, and there was some money left in precinct 3 before it flipped into the unit system. So they were supposed to be paved, and that's when it flipped into the unit system, and it never got paved. I never brought it back up not to do it. Nobody ever did. It still stood on the court, but if I can recall, I know Luana was here back then. She has a good memory too, but that's what I recall happening. I put it on there because I didn't want to waste material, because when you put material on there, you don't pave. We weren't paving a lot of roads back then, but we had a little bit of money left in precinct 3, and that's the reason that we put that on there to go in and get it paved. But when the unit system came in, it never got paved. It got pushed in the back burner.
Well, if you're paving that one, that was a 1747 road, okay? How much is gonna be left over for 1747, because
Y'all voted not to pay for the seal coat out of the 1747. We had $600,000 left, and y'all voted not to pay for the paving part of this road out of that money. Y'all were gonna use it on other roads. And then I said, we'll wait till the new engineer comes in and he'll decide which roads to spend that money on.
Does the bus route, Mike, continue on 355, or does it turn
Yeah,
around?
it turns around right there at the last house. Oh, it's just about to 355.
Luana, you were going to say something?
Well, first off, I want to follow up on what Shelby was saying about the minutes. It does say a portion of County Road 354, and it does not define what the portion is. So a portion of County Road 354 has been paved, so I would say using that as the basis isn't a logical excuse. And then in this year's budget, on July 27th, Mike provided a list of proposed limestone roads on which 354 was included, but there was nothing in the budget for the cost of seal coating those roads specifically. So how is that going to be funded? From what funds?
There was a portion of 354 that was going to be paved. We took it out, and that was in the 2013-14
Correct, it was
But
omitted from your
we pulled it
plan.
out because we were
Correct, it was omitted
We
from your
pulled it
plan.
out because we were gonna mill it, because we've got a bunch of problems up in that area. We're gonna mill it, and there was no use in spending $70,000 and then chewing it right back up and putting it in the ground. So I took that out, plus the 2013-14 budget on Silco was dealt with quantity. So you had X amount of rock and X amount of oil. A lot of them roads, we had to just totally rebuild and put Portland back in them because the roads were all falling apart because we waited a year for Silco. So we had to go back in there and stabilize all this stuff. So now you're not putting a single course on it, you're putting a double course. So you're using twice as much oil and rock on the road, so that takes off your quantity at the end. It wasn't lane miles, it was set up on quantity.
I
And that's
understand,
where
but
we're
you're
at.
missing my question. Where in the budget is seal coating 354 coming from? Because it was not specific.
That
It
was
was
put in
originally,
there
don't
under
interrupt
the-
me,
it's-
please. It was originally in the 2013-2014 seal coat program. You omitted it. It was not ever added back to the 14-15 program or the 15-16 program. In the current budget, the only thing that's specific to 354 is limestone. Where is the expense of seal coating going to be paid from?
It's under our general material because everything that is getting paved under seal coat comes from a contractor, and that comes out of Road and Bridge Special. We got 40 miles of road. Everything else we're going to do with just regular county funds, because of the fact is we've got patches that we need to do. We don't need whole roads. We've got a bunch of them by churches that we've got complaints from. That money is just coming out of the general material budget. And what we're doing, and we also have a bunch of leftover rock from seal coat that's sitting on the side of the road that we're also using. And we also took a bunch of rock that when these contractors finish, they stay above the material because they don't want to trash it with all the dirt and everything. And we grab that and we try filtering that out too. So basically what we're using is a lot of trash rock, plus we do have to buy the grade 3 rock, which is a bigger rock for the bottom, because if you don't put the bigger rock on the bottom, it ain't gonna do you no good, you're gonna lose it.
Okay, so just a couple of minutes ago, you mentioned remilling this road, 354. Did
Yes.
you do that?
Well, what we did was we stabilized it with Portland. What it does is you inject Portland to stabilize the road, and just like we did 359, and we're on 207 right now. And that's what we're doing, we're stabilizing the road.
But you said you were authorized just for limestone, but you had Portland too.
Mike, the gorilla in the room is this. There's a change in administration coming. You knew it was coming. And basically, it stinks to the high heavens that this has been a rush project. It's very obvious. They've been working overtime, et cetera, to get this done before the new man came in. And the fact that it goes in front of your house is the problem. I mean, that why was a rush to get this done at this particular moment?
Well, there was no rush on this, because the fact is, I brought it up in the budget hearings, and the budget hearings have been, as y'all know, over 6 months. We're already, 3 months, 4 months into the budget, and this job has not been a rush job. Nobody has been working overtime on this job or anything else. It's a normal road, just like a normal job. We quit at 5:30, we go home.
Well, there's another rush job that I might bring up, and it's over there on 109, and it ties into the 112 road that just comes out of nowhere. You know, and all of a sudden we got 109 done, which I live next to 109, I have property on it, and it's been a wagon trail, and all of a sudden you pull out and do 112, it goes from, well, I'm sure you know all this, it goes from Althorpe up there to Kershawn's house, and I'm not picking on any one person. I'm just saying these roads haven't ever been on the list. Did the 112, and all of a sudden when he's about to lose his authority to dictate which roads are done, bang, they haul out 109, which joins 112. And it's, I mean, there's a
Straight to the
pattern.
energy company.
Well, there's a pattern here, and it's obvious. It's obvious if you look at it.
You have a list, and Luana mentioned it. It was a list, and mind you, it's not very professional, that was provided for you at budget time. And Luana calculated to a T how many tons, because he said it took 6,200 tons of limestone per mile. He told her what roads he was going to address. what is there, maybe 10 or 15 roads on this. This is not being followed. It is not being followed at all, and I can tell you because roads where we live, around where we live, are on this. And unfortunately, what's happening is roads are being hauled out all around us that aren't on any list. You have a real problem. You cannot track what is being hauled out by this man who just picks and chooses. You would be better to have a lottery system where everybody had a fair chance of getting their road done. I mean, there is a 90-degree turn where there is a road hauled out directly to an energy company beside us. Our road is on this list and hasn't received 1 ounce of material. He is not following this list. Pete, you have a road on this list, 212. And when you get the budget, the precinct tracker, it says 0. He's spent over $5 million of his material budget already. How are we going to address the roads you approved, you voted for? If the material budget is gone by putting Portland and Seal Coat and hauling out roads that were never on a list or approved by you, the court.
Okay, to answer the question, we have been working, I got 40 miles of seal coat roads. We are trying to get those finished. We're trying to shoot AEP on them, which is a primer. We've gotten pretty close to 20 miles of it done, maybe 25. We're fixing to move up into the Gillette area. We got 277, in which already had limestone hauled out. We've got to do some places where we're real thin on it. But we have almost, I want to say 14 to 17 miles up in that part of the country that's going to get seal coated. And that's what we've been concentrating on. We've been concentrating on getting the roads for seal coat ready first before we can even attempt to go to your limestone roads. Because the fact is, when a contractor says he's ready to go, we need to be ready for him. And that's what puts us in a bind.
Where does the money come from? You have a budget. Where does the material for the money come from if he's hauling out roads that aren't on the list? It makes no business sense whatsoever. You can't follow this.
To back up what Shanna is saying, currently in the budget, the original budget as adopted was $7.6 million for road materials. Then we did an adjustment in November, removing $582,000 of that and putting that into additional road materials, but still the total for road materials is $7.6 million. This that was provided at budget time, which is the limestone to be used per road, totals $7.589 million. So we have less than $11,000 cushion that wasn't specifically budgeted for.
$580,000 of that was moved to contractors' assistance through commissioners' courts, so that money did not go into material repair or materials.
Correct.
It went to contractors.
So that means your budget reduced for materials,
Right.
but yet this was 7.589. On this report that you handed out this morning, are you, these that are diagonal lines through them, does that mean those roads have been completed?
Completed, yes.
So how come you skipped County Road 262 and jumped down to County Road 354?
We're working on 262. It's got a big mud hole. There's no drainage in it. That's the road that holds about a foot of water. We've had numerous complaints. We've put bull rock. We've done everything on it. And we have no right of way on that road. It's a real narrow road. And we are getting ready to work on that, add some more, but we're putting pit road to bring the road up to bar, because it doesn't do no good putting limestone.
But why'd you skip it and go to 354? Why
We're
would
working
it
on
completed?
it. They're coming out of pit road material.
Luana, when you get.
So Mike,
Subgrade.
354, those are 1747 road?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
you're going, the stuff you've done, the cement and the limestone, or will be charged to 1747?
No, sir, y'all voted not to put that money towards that extra we got left. You told me not to.
So it's not a 1747 road?
No, it was in the list that we submitted to the state, but we continued down the list. That's why all of your roads got fixed, 165, all of those, because what we did was, and me and you had this meeting hundreds of times, we were gonna keep following this list
What list?
as we follow it.
Show us the list, Mike. You got a copy?
They have it right there, 1747.
Well, 315's on it, 313's on it. Or, I'm sorry, 115 and 113.
This list is irrelevant.
This is a mess.
Well, this list was what was approved in 2013 that he handed out this morning. And there have been changes to it, if I remember correctly, since
Well,
then.
I'll give you an example of a road off of 72, Judge Long.
No, that's the one that we stayed with, and 115, 111, all of those roads. It's on the second page, it's continual, I just brought that one from 354. But it is on the continual pages, that's why it went to the limestone section, because those roads are on the limestone roads, and those are part of that list.
Hold on a second.
Just to give you an example of a brief observation driving down the roads, there is a road off of County Road, off of State Highway 72 called 331. It has had over $400,000 worth of material hauled out on it this fiscal year. It's in the precinct tracker. It is not on the list anywhere. It goes straight to the location. You cannot have us hauling out roads over $400,000 and $500,000 to locations and have the money in the budget to do the roads for the list that he provided. It doesn't work. It doesn't add up.
I'd like to add something to that. I asked Luana what's been spent to date and what had been paid through the end of January was $2.188, essentially $2.2 million for road materials. So we have spent just slightly shy or around a third of the budget in 4 months. So that's about where we are.
Where we should be.
Where we should be.
If you'll notice, guys, on this report, County Road 262 and County Road 269 are the next ones in order to be addressed, and neither one of those are on what he provided for the budgeted breakdown of limestone.
Shannon, answer to your County Road 331, the trucks can't go into Kennedy down 326, they have to come over to, that's why there's a lot of traffic on that road, it gets a lot of wear.
I understand,
That's fine.
but they're not following the pattern,
It's
you gotta
not
have
on the list.
you gotta have a list. I mean, he has a list, I mean,
If you knew that it needed hauled out, then you
Right.
should have put it
Put
on the list, that it was going to cost us $400,000.
Right.
I mean, anybody running a business can't spend $400,000 and $500,000 that they don't have in their budget.
well, it's not your money, it's public money. And that's why you have a list, Pete. If it were our money, we'd spend it the way we want.
What was on that 326, we were getting the construction of the bridge going at the time. And we were clocking about 150 18-wheelers going up and down that road. And it was easier to set them up a truck route on 72 than it would have been in order to have them driving through the construction with the bridge and the road construction. 150 trucks is a lot of trucks that have traveled the construction. And at the same time, they still have to go around Kennedy to go back to the truck route. So it was easier for us to fix that road 331 to 72 and send them out that way than jeopardize somebody's life or anything having an accident. And all it takes is one person to step out in front of that truck, and he's history.
You have a real problem, sir. I mean,
Hold
I'll
on.
give you another example on 124, right side outside of Kennedy. It's a little 1.5-mile strip of road. We've used it as a sample road for polymer, 1 mile of one polymer, 1 mile of another polymer. This month alone, it has had another $70,000 to $80,000 worth of material put on it, and it just simply goes to a station, an energy, facility. It's not on the list anywhere.
On that road, went to the facility on the test zone. The material we put on there it ties into
130,
130. That's where the material was put, it's 130, right?
134.
I can't remember. It's 127 and it tees off.
It ties into the road.
Anyway, we did from the intersection there back, that was nowhere on the facility area or the test pattern.
Says 124.
And Shelby knows where that's at, he drives that road.
It ties in the one, it comes off, it ties in the road that comes off of 127.
Yes, sir. I think it's,
I mean, yeah,
130.
it's 130.
I think it's 130. Anyway, we shot from there, we took that material, because the mail lady was giving us a hard time to get sliding, to get stuck in the ditch. So we fixed that for the mail lady, and David had to do a lot of those too, as we go from there. Helps our business.
Any other comments? For those of you that might not know, we've recently hired a new engineer to head up the Road and Bridge Department, who's going to work, I believe, February 29th. That's what we ended up doing. And he's aware of what's going on. We had a meeting with him this week, and we'll meet further with him before he goes to work. But we're working on this problem, and we won't get it all attended to by the next meeting, I can assure you. But he's aware of what's going on, and we will keep him aware of what's going on. Any other comments from the court? All right. You know about you. We're still on item 8 of the agenda, and we're down to the second item in item 8, the elections office.
Good morning. And I did submit a report, but basically, just want to let y'all know, just like I reported last month, the mass mail out it's complete, but we've still gotten some reports of a few individuals who haven't received their cards, so we're just printing duplicates for those. There's no telling what happened with those. We have a number of VR cards from the mass mail out that we're working on because they were returned to our office for either incorrect address or different reasons, so we continue to work those. And then, of course, ongoing every month is processing of new applications and voter information changes. And just as a note, if you weren't registered to vote by February 1st, you won't be eligible to vote in the March 1st primary because that was the cutoff date. I've posted all of the election notices now, and our website's been updated with all of the election information. I've even put some sample ballots on there that you can link to and look at. I just put them by Commissioner it's Commissioner JP and Constable Precinct 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's the way I put the ballots up, so you don't have to know your voting precinct, but at least you know that. And then we've received a record number of applications for ballot by mail this year. As of yesterday, we had 368 total, and that's 128 Republican and 240 in the Democrats. We've processed all of those. Ballots have been sent on those, but we continue to receive more applications every day. And as far as ballots returned from those numbers that we have sent out, we've got approximately 116 back as of yesterday also, 82 of those Democratic and 34 of those Republican. So those will continue to come back in we have to have them in our office by election night. So the required logic and accuracy testing on the voting equipment is scheduled for this Thursday, and it is open to the public. It's scheduled for 10 a.m. And what that does is just prove that the voting equipment is working, that all of the results will come out perfectly. We have to vote every style of ballot on the machines and then tally. So just to prove that that system is still working. We're getting boxes filled with the paperwork and the supplies for all of the polling locations, so we're just getting ready for that election. So I'm sending out the we've been contacting and talking to election workers, trying to get all those scheduled and sending out their notification and writs this week. And we have to re-inventory the equipment and get it ready for assignment to all the polling locations. And then for the May 7th election, which is for the smaller entities, we're doing contracts with Kennedy ISD, Karnes City ISD, Runge ISD, Falls City ISD, and the hospital. But they have a February 19th deadline to file, so some of them could cancel before then. So we're not sure exactly who all will end up with, but we are working on only doing joint elections, so that everybody's sharing ballots depending on what entity they're with. So like the Karnes City and Karnes City ISD will be sharing ballots, and of course if the hospital's on there, they're going to be on everybody's ballot because they're throughout the county. And then Kennedy and Kennedy ISD will be sharing ballots also, so that we have less workers and tallying and all of that kind of stuff to get done. So, and of course for the March 1st election, I just wanted to mention that early voting starts February 16th through the 26th. It will be held in our office there from 8 to 5.
Karen, what are you gonna do with you still have a lot of that equipment you hadn't sold yet?
I do. It's already been declared surplus. We declared it surplus. I really don't know what else to do with it. I put it out on the listserv, and we did sell some of it, quite a bit of it. The ones that are left are the old auto marks, which are the ones that were primarily disabled. And that's what's primarily left. We sold some of the bigger equipment, which was nice, but the few that are using it are getting ready to purchase new equipment, so they're not looking into purchasing any more of this old equipment. And like I said, it's been declared surplus. I'm just waiting for you to, set an auction or whatever we need to do.
Thank you for the report, first of all, but the other thing, and I read this in one of the Texas Association of County magazines, and it was a smaller rural county such as ours that had hired for the first time an election administrator, and they had good things to say about it, so don't misunderstand me, but this is pure curiosity, no poke at you or anything,
Okay.
but how many of the 254 counties have elections administrators? Do you have any idea?
Right now, it's about 113 that have them, and the number increases every year. They continue to go up because of the new legislation and things like that. I really believe that the Secretary of State is going to, kind of push this position, and has continued to kind of push the position to get the elections all into one office and that type of stuff.
Some of the counties obviously don't need one. This has nothing to do with you, and I'll pontificate a little bit, but for the citizens who grumble about tax rate, Karnes County is among the 10 lowest tax rates in the state. And there were counties, at least 2 counties, that have a total budget of less than $1 million, so we're pretty good off.
Yeah, and another thing, if you don't mind me mentioning also, are some of the counties that don't have elections administrators are larger counties. And if you really poke into their structure, they actually have an elections office and, separate staff that don't do anything but elections and that kind of thing. It's just not labeled as such.
Thank you. Extension office. Is there anybody here from the extension office?
No, Jared provided a report, and Megan's been out sick.
You want to go over it? Some of the major activities since their last report, that youth show board meeting, crop tour for upcoming soil health seminar, some project visits, sites visits, the youth show, soil erosion lessons, studies to the Pawnee ISD, plan for upcoming water fairs, and they're at a feral hog program. They made 281 4-H contact visits, 550 A&R visits, which I don't know what A&R is, 31 community development contact visits. Their plans for next month is you have private applicator training, Fort Worth Stock Show, the San Antonio Stock Show, Houston Stock Show, livestock judging practice, San Antonio judging contest, and the Soil Water Conservation Board meeting. Total miles driven by Mr. L1 is 1,252.94 miles. Okay, any comments? Approve that as presented.
First group of papers is the actual auditor's report. The second grouping is the budgetary report through January 31st of all departments that are included in the general fund and road and bridge. On the first grouping, if you will turn to the fourth page, which is the Karnes County debt obligations for fiscal year 2016. We did not have any debt payments due in January. The next page is outside investments by investment venue. We have monies invested in Stone Castle, DWS, Scudder, and Texas Class. The total outside investments is $41,537,282.88. That spreadsheet gives you the breakdown by fund. General fund, $34,213,960.39. Road and bridge, $1,811,079.43. Road and bridge special, $4,368,847.90. Library, $240,975.41. County and district clerk fees, $320,314.24. General records management fees, $44,374.12. Contract election fund, $8,026.35. JP court fees, $82,562.86. Jury fund, $43,652.59. Interest and sinking, $235,986.22. Rural fire, $167,503.37. The next page is the interest income earned on our outside investments for January 2016. The total interest earned for that month was $7,384.38. The next several pages are just the support for the outside investments by investment venue. Those will all match what I have reported on the spreadsheets. If you'll go down to probably the fourth page after that, it's titled Karnes County Items of Interest. Sales tax receipted January 2016, $506,481.47. Sales tax receipted for January 2015, $842,484.50. That's a decrease of approximately 40%, $336,003.03. Sales tax collected for fiscal year 16, October through January, $2,032,699.67. The same period in fiscal year 2015, $3,462,896.17. A decrease of approximately 41.3%, $1,430,196.50. To maintain our anticipated budgeted collections for sales tax of $4.8 million, we should be collecting approximately $400,000 per month, and our sales tax collected for that first 4 months of fiscal year 14, again, is the $2,032,699.67, so we have collected 42.35% of our budgeted dollars.
In the first 4 months.
Yes. Reimbursement of legal fees associated with the requested tax abatement by Energy Transfer remains outstanding, $5,606.24. The Texas Historical Commission reimbursements on the west wall, $78,044.68, and foundation reimbursement, $523,105 were receipted January 15, 2016. Again, I have not had any response or clarification to the bank reconciliation spreadsheet and related support received from the treasurer. Spreadsheet to Commissioners Court with October 2015 auditor's report presented in November on the 10th. I've attached several different local government codes and transportation codes for your information. It includes acceptance of donations and bequests, which is section 81.032, and it says the Commissioners Court may accept a gift, grant, donation, bequest, or device of money or other property on behalf of the county, including a donation under Chapter 36 Government Code for the purpose of performing a function conferred by law on the county or a county officer. I know gifts and donations have been a big discussion topic in the past, and it has been requested from the Sheriff's Office that they give you a report of how it's expended, but they do come forward with any donation they receive and report it. But as has been discussed, we have not received that report for presentation to court from Road and Bridge. I included a copy of a letter from the Texas Indigent Defense Commission, which is the last page. It announces the award of the formula grant to Karnes County in the amount of $14,854, and that is to supplement or reimburse the county for the monies we expend for indigent defense by court-appointed attorneys. The second packet of papers, as I said earlier, is your budgetary reports through January 31st of all general fund departments and Road and Bridge. Each departments will be going out to them individually today.
I noticed in the notations are the special interest items that the bidding threshold was $25,000. That's out of date, is it not?
Yes, it has changed to
50,000. I'd like it to be back to 25, but anyway. Is there anything in the budgetary report that's of interest that needs attention based on your observations?
Well, basically, everything is within where it should be for the 4 months.
Nobody's going crazy.
Budgetary wise, or what?
We're going to start working on the budget weekly and on Thursdays. So, court be prepared. Anybody that's interested and wants to come to all the budget hearings will need to come every Thursday.
What time? At 9?
Yeah, we got them at 9.
We start-
I think at 10.
The first one is at 10?
Because we do the jail first and then go into the,
Yeah.
10 o'clock.
And the 18th will be security parties.
yeah, next.
18.
18th of February. Okay. Victims Assistance Coordinator, which is
There is a report in your packet that was given to you yesterday. This is basic update. This report is one that's submitted to the grant folks in the governor's office. In my opinion, it's not as comprehensive as it needs to be, and I'm reworking that at this time. This report indicates that we've had 3 aggravated assaults, that we've interviewed the victims, submitted the reports, and submitted the request for compensation to the Attorney General's office. That's the aggravated assault level. That's the cases that eventually go to the district attorney's office. We've had 1 assault that we've dealt with on a local basis that has to do with the county court. We've had 1 sexual assault of an adult that we tried to deal with the victim. We've submitted some applications to the Attorney General's office for compensation. And we had 2 others, and these have to do with non-assault cases, but violence toward individuals, just simple assault, 1 person fighting with another person, that kind of thing. What happened this month, the numbers that you first see in December 2015 are for the total period of 2015, and we just brought them forward and tried to deal with them at that point. The reflection for the January 2016 is just reflection in the number of individuals that we come in contact with through our office. This month, we have spent most of the month with training for the Ms. Navarro. In addition, we have met with all the schools and worked on programs and speakers for updating the schools on prevention of sexual assault and family violence. We've talked to each of the police departments about notifying us and giving us a heads up as to ways we can deal with the individuals. We have tried to relocate 3 different victims of assault cases. We've been successful with 1. The other 2 decided after we got them a place to go, they decided to change their mind and go back to the situation that they're in, and we're still trying to deal with those within the family itself. We've talked to each of the justices of the peace about temporary protective orders that deal with these assaults that occurred, and the justice of the peace sees them ahead of time, and the justice of the peace has the ability to issue temporary orders for the protection of the victim. Next month, I hope a lot of this is reflected in the report. The one that we filled out, it will still have to go to the governor's office, but for y'all, I'm going to try to do an additional update to kind of give you some ideas on it. Any questions?
Herb, I don't understand what period of time each one of these columns is for. I mean, we need to be looking at our fiscal year on everything we look at, it seems to me, and perhaps I'm not.
This is not a fiscal year in the 2015. I need to correct that to look at your fiscal year.
And I mean, that just, maybe I'm the only one that thinks that, I don't know, but I can't tell how we're affected well if we don't look at fiscal year income and fiscal year expenses, which is what we need to do with everything we're working on.
I will address it with that thought in mind.
Herb, I was looking at your numbers, and I guess I'm kind of like the judge, kind of confused. Is it a full-time position or is it a part-time position?
It's full-time.
I mean,
this person is busy all the time.
Okay, because I just wanted to.
Is Erica the one that does this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
She does all the protective orders. Today at 11, she's going to an ACOG meeting. Yesterday, she worked on a protective order most of the day on a victim that got her teeth knocked out. So it's a full-time spot for her.
That's terrible when a wife knocks on a husband's teeth out.
Yes, sir. My wife does that quite frequently, sir.
Yeah, but yours are balls.
Y'all are lucky to have wives.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Regardless
no,
of what they do to you.
I was
they
just
probably
wondering
deserve
because, you know,
You're right, Judge.
I just was wondering because, so we're utilizing that position to all that we can.
It's not used for any of the clerical or any of the file cases. The individuals that are dealing with the files and taking the intake are totally separate from this section. We've not put any of this information that you are faced with on this employee other than what the statute requires us to do. We're trying our best to comply with that statutory requirements and nothing else.
I talked to Erica yesterday about what was going on and how she was being used, and she verified what you're saying.
I welcome, this is a new position, and I know there's a lot of questions, and I welcome Dawn to talk to her about what her schedule is and how she's dealing with it.
This is very time-consuming
Very much so.
problem, and we have fairly severe problems in this.
I don't want to make anything light about victims of assault, but in the past, we've just kind of, if they want to sign a non-prosecution statement, we just kind of walked away from it. We walked away from folks who have gotten serious problems. And we just don't need to do that anymore. We keep from the lady that they relocated. It took Erica, it took the assistant county attorney, both working in and out to get the lady to finally agree. We found her place in one location. She didn't want to do that. We moved her somewhere else, and she is there now. And I'm convinced if we hadn't moved her, the guy would have killed her. And that's just an observation. Sometimes these folks go right back into it, and it makes it very difficult. But if you don't keep working with them, they've got no other place to go. And the Attorney General's office has some money available to help these victims pay some of the medical expenses and some of the moving expenses and some of the living expenses. But all we can do is submit those applications. Erica's getting real good at that. That's something that's behind the scenes. It needs to be noted in the report, but it has not been. Talking to the police chiefs, for example, about what to do, instead of talking to a victim and asking the victim whether or not you want to prosecute or not, look at the facts of the case and give it to the appropriate authorities to deal with without having to go, without putting pressure on the victim to make a decision as to whether or not they want to prosecute the case or not. And those are all issues that Erica is addressing at this time.
And the DA is helpful on these type of cases, is he not?
Very much so. He is, they have a victim assistant coordinator also, and we work closely with that office. I don't think they try to take anything away from us. If we get something, we tell them what we're doing before we do it and get their okay or permission if we've got anything to go to.
Okay, thank you, Herb. Buildings and maintenance.
David, your office is finished.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I don't know who the office is for, but I just finished the office and the restroom at Rungy. It's the Rungy Yard.
Where? Rungy Yard at the precinct yard?
Yes, where the base is stored.
One.
I have no idea.
I didn't order it, don't look at it.
No, I'm just wondering.
Mike's the one that asked me to do it.
I know we had money in the budget for precinct 2 yard.
I didn't ask Mike about it, but I realized that they stock material there and they haul it out. And if the men come in there and they need to go to the restroom, it's nice to have a restroom there for them. So then,
Oh, I just trying to figure out,
I don't know what, I haven't asked Mike about it, but he wanted to know. Mike wanted to know.
So does that mean the utilities have been turned back on, or have they been on the whole time?
Utilities were, well, the water, there was a leak out there. We had to get the city out there to fix that, and valves wouldn't turn off. So I got them to fix that so I could shut the water off, so I could do the plumbing. And the electric was on. So I know the electric was on. I'm not sure they're reading the water meter because couldn't hardly find the water meter, let alone the
well,
valve.
the Rungy's got their fire truck in there too for the time being.
Yeah. So that's, the last 2 weeks, that's what I've been working on over there. Amongst little things, you'll see them on here, there's little things I've been working on over here. But predominantly, I've been over there.
So
Next
that's
one.
coming out of Road and Bridge's budget, since it's a road and bridge?
That's what he told me.
And you did the bathroom and what else for
Bathroom in the
3,700?
office. It was less than that, but I hadn't purchased the air conditioner yet because I'm waiting for them to come out on the shelves, the decent ones, because it's not that time of year yet, but another $200 will get just a nice little air conditioner, and I've got a space heater in there, and it'll be way less than $3,700. It won't even be $3,700. But next on my list is to hit, I got a sink I've got to plumb in for juvenile. That's all I got left on juvenile. And then after that, I'm going to hit the tax office with basically like a little kitchen, a sink, a hot water heater kind of thing. This is what I was told.
Is that hot water heater just going to be one of those on-demand heaters?
Well, no, they make them, they're about $150, and it's not on-demand, they're cheaper than the on-demands, but it will do enough to wash dishes, and I could put one into the special projects building for them to wash dishes over there, and it was like $150, and it does for washing dishes. It won't, run a dishwasher. Yeah, it's a
Little
little
2-3
bitty,
gallon.
yeah, it's a 2 or 3 gallon thing, but it's enough to wash dishes.
So will it go right there under the sink, or
Yeah,
will
you
it go in
can,
that
you can
closet
put
beside
them
it?
in a lot of little small places and never even notice it.
So these
Real simple to install.
These expenditures that weren't technically itemized in the budget just come out of building maintenance and repairs?
On the kitchen, I was gonna get a quote for y'all, and it was supposed to come out of the 50,000, I guess, that y'all had, or at least that's what everybody was telling me. The money that y'all had, you had some money where we did all the painting and everything. They were gonna take it out of that, whoever, I think it was Brenda or whoever was telling me about it, why.
Yes.
But they were gonna take it out of that and do the kitchen.
I asked him to do that. The sink that we have now is really small and narrow, and the faucet comes out. So whenever we have our lunch and we try to wash our dishes, it splatters on us and it's cold water. So we've asked him to come in, and there's a little cooktop that doesn't even work, to have him remove that. So he was going to look at what it would cost to do that. So we've asked him to do that. And there was a $50,000 that was in there for the paint and the remodeling of the building.
I appreciate the new office.
You will.
Well, does every precinct have an office now? Of
I
some
don't know, Judge.
kind or not?
I have no clue, Judge.
no.
Football says it doesn't have anything, do they?
Yeah, they do. They got something.
Got a portable
They got
building, but I don't
port
know.
building.
Ed's got one, Rungy's got one. I don't know about Paul C. I think they got a little office there, but nothing.
Yeah, Mike just asked me to, so I just kind of did what he said. I got him a bid, and he said, okay,
Well,
we can have
we've
it.
got a bunch of equipment standing out there in Folksy, do we not? And that's not on property that we have anything to do with? Is that what? Well, y'all are sitting here saying that we don't have anything, or
We
I'm
don't have an
not.
office.
Office, I thought you were talking about the office.
Well, I thought there was an office there.
There is, but nothing,
usable.
nothing, I don't know, I was asking Pete how usable it was.
Oh, JP's office is there, and then the shed's just where the equipment is stored in.
That's not a portable building for an office.
But do we have one in every other precinct?
Yes.
That's kind of what I was asking
Yes.
to start out.
There's one in Gillette, there's an office in Gillette with, and then the one in Kennedy, and now you have the one in Rungy that's been fixed
Redone,
up.
renovated.
Redone, renovated. So there's 3 offices for 3 precinct yards.
Okay.
Okay.
Pete, this is an aside, but didn't we decide to fence the Fall City yard? What has ever come of that? Do you recall?
There is something in the budget.
I was thinking there was, because we had talked about fencing it to make it secure so they could, that's the only yard that's not fenced.
There's the $50,000 in the budget for that.
Well, we need to go forward with it if we budgeted the money and there's a need for it. Is there any reason why we haven't?
I guess Road and Bridge hadn't done it yet, so I was
Okay.
passing the buck, but I don't know.
Your Kennedy yard, I think you had 50,000 in the budget for repairs and rehab. And it has on the, you spent $279,000 on it so far, on the precinct tractor so far this year, so you'd be a little over budget on that one.
I think he charges material and other stuff, and whatever they buy, I think is put in that yard, is my understanding. That's why it's probably so much. I'm not trying to justify what he's doing, but that's my understanding.
What do you mean material?
If he buys something and he'll stockpile it in that yard, even if he buys material and he just stockpiles it.
No, that goes into material.
Huh?
That goes into cost of material.
But I think they're charging it to material for that precinct building, for Kennedy or Rungy or Fall City, wherever they dump it.
It goes into material. It may be noted Rungy Yard or Kennedy Yard or Fall City Yard.
But that's what I'm saying, I think that's what some of the extra cost is going in, that's why I think they're coding it.
No, because we have ultimate coding. and
But
it
I
goes
mean,
in
but his
materials.
precinct tracker, I think he codes it that way.
In precinct tracker, not
Yeah,
in the bills.
and that's what precinct tracker is what she's looking at.
That way it's hard to follow.
Yeah, if you make it confusing, nobody's picking it up.
Is it done in some way where you can't follow it?
Well, if it is road materials, even if it's stockpiled in the financial system, it is coded as a road material purchase.
Comes out at 7.6.
Yes.
Yeah.
It needs to be road specific, the road material does. So that way you can follow the road he's hauling out, the material goes to a specific road. The way he has it, it's all bulk, and you don't know where it goes, you don't know what road he does, and that's been demonstrated here today.
Well, we've hired a new road engineer, and he will begin work, I believe, February 29th. That's what we've got scheduled. I think we'll be happy with him. Okay, anything further on this item?
We had a small incident with Rice Plumbing that I wanted to address. I had Carrie call me, and Pete was in the office when I showed up over there, and she told me that I guess James you were upset, and so was the guy named Russell out at the dump. I guess Russell was saying, I don't know the whole side of the story because all I heard was from her, but he said something about they showed up with the wrong equipment and something about, what was it, trip charge or something like that we didn't want to pay, and you were kind of upset. She was kind of going on, and I finally had to slow her down, and I asked her, I said, were you there? And she said, no. I said, was James there? And she said, no. And I said, so, and she recommended to me that we not pay the contractor, and I told her, I said, well, did anyone go to the contractor and get their side of the story? Or are we just listening to just one employee that possibly didn't want to be there? And I can say that because he called me several times, and he said, I kept telling him, one time I told him, I said, do you want me to handle this? And he goes, no, I got it. And then when he hollered at me because they were late that day, he called me and said, well, they're not here at 1. And I said, man, do you want me to handle this? Because he kept telling me he wanted to handle it. And he said, no, I'm busy just like you. I have other things to do, but I got it. And so he was kind of disgruntled, and I asked her, I said, did anyone call the contractor and get their side of the story before we decide not to pay him? And apparently she told me no. And I said, how about I get their side of the story to find out whether we pay them or not? And I called the contractor. They said they went in through one side, okay, which is the front of the drain, and they hit a brick wall. Then they wanted to go through the back part of the drain. This is what they told me. And when they tried to go through the back part of the drain, he said something along the lines of, y'all brought the wrong equipment, and the city has already tried doing that, so we're not going to do it. And so they packed up their stuff. They had some words from what I heard, him and them. And then they packed up their stuff and left. Now, chances are we probably won't get to use this contractor again. I'm just going out on a limb there. But are we going to pay this contractor for coming out the trip charge plus whatever time they were there?
Let me try to answer some of them. Russell called me and said that the plumber was going out there, and that the plumber had said that we needed to be there at 1 o'clock, not 1:01, 1:05, 1:10, because if that plumber was going to be there at 1 o'clock, he was going to start billing at 1 o'clock, and I understand. And I said, well, all right, we just, make sure you're there. And he said, yeah, well, I'm here, and blah, blah, blah. About 2 o'clock, Russell calls me, and he was upset. He said, James, they're not here yet. I said, well, just sit there and wait, man. I go, just sit there and wait. 2:30, he calls me, he goes, they finally got here, James. He goes, that's an hour and a half. He goes, they told me that if I wasn't here by 1 o'clock, they were going to start billing by 1 o'clock. Because they were like 100%.
Who said that? He didn't talk to them, did he?
Russell told me that he was in contact with the gentleman that went over there.
Okay.
And I'm sorry. It wasn't the gentleman that went over there. The gentleman that went over there, he told me personally that he didn't bring the right equipment because he wasn't told to in the morning. But I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay. They brought a water jet, didn't they?
Yeah, but he wasn't told what he had to come and do, and he didn't come strictly for the county. He came to do other things here, and then he was told just to go check on it. So, okay. But anyways, I'll get to that in a minute.
All right.
And I told him, just wait, man, just wait. So he was upset about that. He said, well, James, he goes, if they're mad, he goes, because they're saying that they're going to start billing the county at 1 o'clock if we're not here, but they're not here till 2:30. And I understood that. If you tell somebody you're going to be there at 1, be there at 1. If you can't, call in or whatever. So I just told him,
I don't remember him saying that to me. None of them said that to me.
I told him, just take care of it, man. And he said, okay, James, not a problem. He said, all right.
Because I offered several. I told him finally, I said, you know what, if you want me to handle this, I can handle it. If you got other things to do, I can do it.
See, and he didn't tell me he was talking to
And he said, no, I got it, Warren. I'm busy just like you, but I got it. And I said, all right, well then handle it.
Then he called me back and he said, James, and he said, hey man, he goes, they went in one way or whatever. He goes, but he started talking about the equipment. They didn't have the right equipment. And let me see. He said they didn't have the right equipment. He said, do you want to talk to him? I said, well, I would have loved to talk to him, but no one called me. I told him, I really don't need to talk to him. I told him, I need to talk to the boss, man. If they didn't bring the equipment over here and they made because Russell had said that guy.
So it's all hearsay. We heard nothing.
Well, I talked to that guy. Okay. I'm sorry, Warren, if I could it's okay. It's okay. And I told Russell, well, I really don't need to talk to the guy. Let me call the main boss and find out why he didn't bring the right equipment. If he was already destined to come over here. And he said, yeah, he's going to charge us a trip charge all over here. He goes, you want to talk to him? He's right here beside me. I said, yeah, Russell. I go, put him on the phone, man. I go, put him on the phone. So I said, hey, guy, I go, were you directed to come over here? And he said, yes, sir. And I introduced myself, and I can't remember his name. I don't remember everybody's name I talked with. I'm sorry. But he said, yes, sir. And I said, why didn't you bring the right equipment? I go, if you came straight over here to do our job, they didn't tell you what you were going to do? He said, no, sir. They didn't tell me what, and that's coming from me to him. That's not hearsay from Russell. That's straight from me. And he said, no, they didn't tell me what to do. I said, so what were you doing? And he said, well, I came over here. I had two other jobs over here, and I was unloading a backhoe or something. That's when I said, but you're going to charge the county trip charge when you were already here? I go, I don't see that right. I go, why is your company going to charge the county a trip charge if you're already here? I go, and you're saying that your boss didn't even tell you what you needed or what was wrong over here, so basically you came over here just to look at it. He said, yeah, he said, I ran this and that and everything. I told him, pick up your stuff, man, and you can leave. I go, and I'll talk to your boss about that. That's exactly what happened. That's coming straight from me. And that's not coming from Russell.
They did have a water jet, right?
They had some kind of jetter, but not a big enough jetter or something like that. And I told him, do you need a bigger jetter? He said, that's what I need, sir. And I said, why didn't you bring it? And he said, well, I wasn't told what I needed.
And I got no phone calls for a week and a half over this.
And all I did was...
Not one phone call was called me. I got to hear from Kerry. Kerry's the one that talked to me.
Warren.
That kind of...
Warren.
Wait, hold on.
Yes, sir.
Not one phone call for a week and 2 days over this incident, and yet everybody's making decisions. Why don't, I'm just gonna say it like it is, why don't you start calling all the contractors out and you start handling it, and then I'll do all the little work on the lights, and I'll do all the small stuff, and you start handling all the contractors so you can run them off the job, and you can do whatever you do, and you can build your reputation. Because I don't have a reputation for not working with contractors. I work with them, okay? And I don't know all the things that you just said, but the contractor never told me none of that.
All right.
And I talked to him.
You're telling me to start calling all the contractors?
Yeah.
I'm not getting smart with you, Warren, so don't you get smart with me here in court. Follow the decorum.
Okay. All right.
I did not get smart with you.
I'm just saying, if we keep running contractors off, we're not gonna have anybody to hire anymore, okay? We're doing that, okay? I've seen it. We have to start at least allowing them to do their jobs. Now, I don't know the problems we had there, but I didn't get the same story from the contractor as you got. I got different. My story was different. They said we went out there and we tried to go in from one side, we couldn't. The guy didn't want us to go into the other side. He didn't want to take the time to go into the other side. Then it turned to words. I don't know what words, I just heard it turn to words.
I'm not exactly what words they had.
I don't either.
I wasn't there.
Apparently it was a knockdown drag out, but I do know that I didn't get any phone calls.
Can I?
And I'm the one that hired them. And why did I have to? Pete told me to hire someone. He told me to get a plumber out there. He told me which plumber to hire.
You asked me to, and I said, yeah, whichever one you want. I didn't have a
No,
problem with that one.
he asked me, and he said, Rice Plumbing, we used them before. I said, okay, we're good.
You asked
And I
me
got
to,
him
and I
out
said,
there. But now, if every time I hire a contractor to come out and we're gonna have issues like this, I want somebody else to call them out. I mean, it's simple to make a phone call. I can make the phone call, but I don't want a bad reputation. I don't, personally, okay? I have a good reputation, always have had. I've worked with contractors, I've worked with damn near every contractor you can think of in the state of Texas. Kruger Construction, I've worked with them over there. I know they built this building, but I worked with them over there and on airport jobs. I have a good reputation, always have had a good reputation. I don't want that tarnished because of this job, okay? I need to be in the loop, and y'all need to allow me to do that part of it, which means I get a phone call when you have a problem with a contractor I hired, at least give me a chance to fix it. Don't iron it out on your own and then come back and tell me that, oh, because the first thing they're thinking is I'll never work for Warren again. That's the first thing that contractor's saying. And I know for a fact that they just called up yesterday asking for a credit card. They want their payment as quick as possible because they know they're probably not going to get paid. Okay? I don't know, but I'm just saying that's what I heard.
Okay, Warren. Okay. Now,
so that's where I'm sitting. I don't want my reputation tarnished.
How much is the bill?
I don't know.
Warren,
get that information.
the reason that you didn't not get a call was not because I left you out of the loop. I've been a contractor many years, and I have asked other contractors to leave my job site. It's my job. When I don't think they're doing the job right, or I think anything, I'm a contractor, I'm a professional contractor. I will ask them to leave the job site. I'm not going to bend over for any contractor.
That's fine.
Okay. And, well, not in a bad sense, I'm just saying bend backwards, bend over, or something like that.
But then,
Now, the reason I didn't call you, my apologies, I didn't call you, but I called the county attorney. And her was the name, but Carrie was in, and I explained the situation to her, and I told her, do you think I should go ahead and call Warren, or do you want to go ahead and just call the company and everything, tell them that there was a situation between an employee and their employee, and where do we go from there? I said, or do you want me to call him? She said, no, I'll take care of it. I said, so you don't want me to call Warren? She goes, no, let me take care of it. I said, do you want me to call the contractor? She said, no, let me take care of it. There are legal egos. So, I mean, if they tell me not to call, I didn't call. That's the reason I didn't.
She specifically told me not to talk to you and not to talk to Russell for some reason.
Oh, I don't have no idea.
She did.
But I'm telling you the reason that I did not call you, not because I was trying to, for a contractor that you hired or anything. I have no problem. Rice Plumbing is great. I'm sure there's not a problem. And I wasn't there. I don't know the problem that that guy and the employer of the county had. I have no idea. And I did tell Carrie, I said, hey, man, whatever they got to do, all I did was ask them to leave that day. So I'm not telling them for them never to work for the county.
Well,
and I
you
did
don't
tell
have
her.
to tell them that. They make that decision on their own.
Well, you know what I mean, well, we can stop a contractor from working for us, so we can't tell a contractor not to work for us.
And
We do have that authority, we're commissioners court,
Yes.
we have the authority to tell any
I understand
contractor
that.
they're not gonna work for us.
And-
But that's not what I did. That's not what I did. I mean, I'm not a bad guy or anything. I had a problem, I wasn't there, Warren, and I could only take from what I heard from Russell, and then I talked to the contractor, the employee from them. He said they didn't tell him what equipment to bring. He said that they were gonna charge us, but they were already here. I told him real nice, and you can even ask that guy, I don't disrespect anybody unless they disrespect me
They
first.
weren't happy.
And all I asked
Their
him,
side wasn't happy.
all I asked him was to please pick up his stuff and go, not in a bad
And
way.
I even told them on the phone, look, I hope we didn't get a reputation where you will actually come to work for us because of some incident that happened. I hope that we didn't go down this road, but I understand if we did go down that road and we went too far, I understand why you don't want to do work for us anymore.
And I would understand that.
And he was they were not happy over the circumstances, whatever it was. And I never got what you got. I never heard, he never said we didn't have anything. He said we had a water jet there one. We had this, and he tried to go in from one side, and then when he tried to go in from the other side, the guy said no. He said, you're doing the same thing the city did, and no, we're not going to do that, and apparently sent him on his way after they had works, whatever it was.
Yeah, but I was really respectful to the company. I never told them anything wrong. They can't,
That's where we're sitting, and I just want to be careful for the county because I see certain things in the county where, it's contractors will, I had this discussion last time. They'll start bidding, when they bid on a job, they'll triple their bid. Just because they know they're going to have problems with, say, the county or SAWS or some government agency. They know they're going to have issues, so they just start tripling their bid. And you start paying 3 times as much money to get the same job done. All because people the goal when you're doing a job is to get the job done, get a good job done, and it's not to hold up the job and it's not to not get it done. Now, did we ever get to drain clean?
they're out there today.
Who is?
Hosa Plumbing. I call it Bonnet Plumbing and, Hosa Plumbing, and, Hosa Plumbing is the ones that I talked with. They went out there this morning about 9 o'clock and they're doing it.
Wow. Okay. Then you got it handled.
Yes.
Okay.
I have it handled.
I think the issue here is who handles the building maintenance wherever it may be. What sounds to me like is the fella and I'm not involved in this, but the fella at the dump is going to James and filtering through him instead of, if Warren's going to run all the maintenance, everything needs to go to Warren. Just like the ladies over at South Brown Street, they don't call me if the faucet leaks, they call Warren. And the fella out there needs to be told if it's a maintenance issue, he's the man, not James. Now, that's the first thing. Second thing is, what day of the week was this?
It was on a Friday.
Afternoon.
Yes, sir. I was at the dump at noon, and no one was there, and it was locked up. I called Russell because he wasn't there. I had to get his number, and I called him, and he said he was on sick leave. And I told him, okay, well, I need the combination because I got a plumber coming out. And he told me, he gave me the combination, then he came back and said, no, I'll take care of it, Warren. I'll take care of it. And I said the same thing. And I said, well, man, if you're sick, I understand, I can handle this. No, I'll take care of it. I said, okay, well, they're going to show up at 1, so you need to be here by 1. And so I went back and started working on some other stuff. I got a phone call I want to say it was right at 1, where he left me a message at 1 saying, well, the plumber's not here. And then about 1:15, I received a phone call from him, and then he was, well, they're not here, and you said 1 o'clock. And I said, man, sometimes they take longer. I'll call him and I'll find out where he's at, okay? And I said, do you want me to handle this? If you're that busy to get out of here, I can handle this. And he said, no, I got it, I'm just busy. Okay, well, I called the guy, and he said, well, he should be there anytime now. I said, okay, so I called him back, said he'd be there anytime now. Then the guy called me back, said he got lost. And I said, oh, wow. So I said, okay, call, what's his name? Russell. Call Russell, get on the same page, find out where you're going, and make sure you're on the same page, because he's pretty irate. And I didn't hear another word for a week and 2 days. Or I take that back, Monday of last week is when I talked to Carrie. And she filled me in on all this while And Pete was there, he heard all of it. And I had to tell her, well, first, you don't just go and say we're not paying people. I mean, first, did anyone talk to the contractor? And she said no. And I said, so you wasn't there? She goes, no. And I said, James wasn't there? She goes, no. I said, then how can we automatically say we're not paying a contractor? We don't even know the other side of the story.
Warren, I think you need to get us the amount that the contractor wants. I've seen arguments like this go on and escalate over relatively nominal amounts.
Right.
And I don't want to get anecdotal, but I had a situation with a fertilizer company that they dug their heels and said, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. After losing 6 months business, they finally said, see what you can do. And I asked the company involved in the thing, what do you want? Said, well, we have about $90 in cleanup if you pay that. Now, they had, pardon me, pissed off about $40,000 or $50,000 worth of sales over $90. So we may be arguing about who did said what to whom over $200 or $300, which is kind of ridiculous.
I do want you to know that out of me, never was said not to pay. I'm a contractor too, and I understand when a contractor does a job, you get paid.
That's where that kind of bothered me, that we're not going to pay a contractor and we don't even know the full story.
If I was planning not to
That was mentioned to me twice.
If I was planning to not pay a contractor, I would bring it to Commissioner's Court. That's the proper procedure.
Okay, well, that makes it a lot simpler.
Yes, sir.
When somebody tells me we're not paying a contractor, I've seen that before, and you know what, we need to pay our contractors unless they really do something wrong.
Right, I understand. I agree with you.
Who actually said we weren't paying? Who actually said we weren't paying?
Gary's the one that told me.
And
She goes, I recommend we not pay this contractor. And she said
But
that
how
twice.
did the county attorneys
I have no
get
clue, and
involved?
I asked that same question, I don't know how she got involved. but-
Because of the argument that was over there. There was an argument over there between Russell and that guy, and I called the county attorney to get advice, legal advice. If I go over there and I start calling the company and then I get in an argument with them, I just worsen the problem. That's why we have attorneys. I'm not going to worsen the problem if it's already heated up. So I wanted to know exactly what to do, what procedures to take, because I did not disrespect the guy. I told him, could you please just leave the premises and I'll talk with your boss. Automatically, I called her, but he wasn't there, so I called Karen. That's how they got involved, because that was a problem out there.
Okay.
And it was to me, I didn't know he had, maybe he told me he talked to you, I'm not sure, Warren, but it seems there's,
I felt like
it's
I was in the dark.
a lot,
I felt like
yeah.
I had no clue what was going on, but everybody was doing everything around me,
No.
and nobody was talking.
I
What I got.
wouldn't do that to you, Warren. You're a good guy. You do a good job. I wouldn't do that to you. The reason they told me not to talk to you, and
Why would they say not to
Carrie's
talk?
great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not throwing her on the spot. She is fantastic. But
Why would you
all
have a
I
problem
want,
talking to me?
excuse me?
Why would you have a problem, a legal problem talking to me?
No, not talking at all to you. Just about drop the situation until they called him. But now you're telling me that nobody called.
She called me Monday, and I talked to her Monday.
Okay, so she did call you right away.
I kept asking,
Okay.
why wouldn't James come and talk to me? And I didn't understand that. I don't know why you would talk to them and not me, and why I was instructed not to talk to you, and I was instructed not to talk to Russell by her. I didn't understand that, and it threw me. What did I say, Pete? We didn't understand that, did we?
We didn't understand. We were in there at the same time, and I did hear Carrie tell Warren not to call James, not to call Russell, not to call Rice. She was going to take care of it.
That was on Monday. Yeah, she told me that she was going to make some calls Monday, so she did do her job.
At the end of the day, she had me call Rice. She goes, you call Rice, but do not call James and do not call Paul Russell. And I said, okay, I'll call Rice Plumbing and find out what happened.
And then that was what you explained to us was the story. Yeah, well,
It turned into whatever this was didn't turn out right,
yeah,
but it's lack of communication.
that's what it is. I agree with you.
And every company has it, but in this case, if nothing else, all I need is communication from you commissioners or whoever does whatever job, just give me the communication. I could care less either which way, but at the end of the day, I am for what's right. I do what's right. And paying contractors, I pay contractors unless there's a reason not to, and I know that there's some other circumstances that arise where it's a power play or some kind of other thing,
Yeah.
and I don't believe in that. I believe in...
I agree with you.
Excuse me, let's just shut this down, and y'all can discuss this in the hall or something. I think we need to get on with the county business.
We've been discussing all kinds of things here. Shelby, let me finish.
Well,
I'm
this
sorry,
is
Judge.
not, this is not an agenda item.
I know, but can I just tell David one last thing, Judge, and that'll be it?
If you'll get through where we can
And-
go on and tend to our business.
Okay, Judge, this is the last thing that I'll say. David, I think you have a good idea there, and I think you're right, because it is a building and the maintenance, I'm just used to taking care of it, but you're correct. Warren, if it's okay with you, I'll tell Russell that anytime that anything happens there, light fixtures, plumbing issues, toilet, if there's anything there with the buildings, not to direct the call to me, to direct it to you. Is that all right? And that is not any problem at all. Actually, I'd be happier.
I know.
Yeah, I would be happier
All the
because
responsibility somebody wants.
if it's gonna filter to me and then you and everything, there's gonna be a misunderstanding.
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna so Russell will be giving you calls now whenever something's wrong with any one of the buildings. I will tell him today to direct it straight to you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
that's
Warren.
a great
Appreciate
idea.
it. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Judge, for letting me speak.
All right. I don't even know what we're on.
I don't either.
We're on Shelby.
Yeah, I have nothing to report.
Status report on
Nothing.
county personnel policy.
Nothing to report. We're gonna have a policy meeting probably next week, one day or week after. But we got some things
We've
we
got a
need to
good
talk
bit of
about.
work to do on policy.
What's this APOC report here?
That's Pete's.
That's Pete's, okay.
Commissioner Precinct 1, that was you, building status report, Pete. Not sure what that's about.
I had a call yesterday from Jerry Lockwood, original superintendent on the jail job. He said he's coming back today to see about getting it finished up. And I think he's a get it done. I think it'll help. Yesterday I was at the jail and the painters were doing touch-up work. I know they had the kitchen start up and training last week. That went fine? Yes, sir. Okay. And so they're making progress there. There is no action on the swale, no action on the site. Jerry Lockwood asked me about that yesterday. I told him, well, I'll buy him a hoe and he can chop those weeds and start rubbing it out. He didn't think that was the right thing. Anyway, he is asking about, he's aware of what's going on, knows what needs to be done already, so hopefully we'll get a lot of action on it. The EMS, when is is the JP scheduled to move into the?
It's my understanding they're gonna move it on the 13th or over the weekend.
So that's,
They're pretty much, everything's set up in there, I believe, except they're waiting for the phones to AT&T to do the phone.
it's almost complete. And the courthouse, we had a walkthrough last week with Jody from Boyle and Lorraine Daly and me, and they have just a few items on the punch list. The courthouse is actually complete. Well, it is complete, just for a little bit punch list. THC was not represented. Tanya Salgado with you to come down from Austin today to make a walkthrough. Get her and see if she finds it. That's my report on the building.
Have we any movement on, of course, I guess we can't really do anything on the jail as far as repurposing it until they move out the old jail?
Right.
Is that it? Okay, status report on the waste and recycling center, James, is that you?
Yes, sir, Judge. We're getting some of the safety signs put up, the ones that we needed. One of the safety signs, we were getting charged by Dynasty to put the stickers on their gas tanks. So I called Dynasty and I told them we have to pay for the stickers that we put on their own gas tanks. They said yes, that's the norm, everybody does that. That's one of the things we looked down. That's just some of the small stuff. We got a riding lawnmower and a weed eater getting fixed right now. Don't know the cost of it, but we need them over there. The trash compactor, it started kind of like, you could feel like a shock on it, like when on damp mornings. So what I did was, I called Kirby Hartner, and he went over there and took a look at it, and he told me to shut it down, that it still worked, but it was dangerous. So I said, so in your professional opinion, just shut it. He said, yeah, James, he goes, shut it down. He goes, I don't want there to be a problem here or anything, and I came to see it. So I shut down the trash compactor since, I think it was Thursday or Friday. And since then, I've already talked with Waste Management. I have David coming in from Waste Management tomorrow or Thursday. He's not really sure. He's going to evaluate our situation. He's going to evaluate the place, what electrical we got running over there. He's going to give us 3 options. For a new one, a refurbished one, or a lease agreement to have one there and they maintain it. And as of right now, Danny, Hinojosa Plumbing, they're out there. I called a couple of plumbing companies. Hinojosa Plumbing was the one that responded to my call, so that's how I'm gonna go out there.
Is that trash can applied to the counties or?
I talked to Jeff Viatric and I told him, hey, you were there controlling it as a county commissioner whenever we purchased that, and he said it was bought in through a grant.
Okay.
So it is the counties. He said that was bought in years and years ago.
And what's Kirby saying, other than it's dangerous, is it a?
The electrical's dangerous, and I guess when it gets damp, something's wrong in there, and he said he would have to replace all the electrical in there, and it may be too costly. So I'm gonna bring this guy over here, David, that deals with these, and he's gonna evaluate our situation.
Kirby doesn't know what's wrong with it.
Excuse me?
Kirby doesn't know what's wrong with it, if that's what he's saying.
Besides that, it's all rotting through, the electrical needs replacement on there. The boxes are rotting, the moisture's getting inside of there. And then it's completely, it's rotted real bad.
To check out a current leak on electrical, it's quite time consuming and probably what you find.
I probably have worked in more electrical things and built more than y'all have put together. Y'all are both in the business.
Well,
My father was an electrician and I worked for him all the time.
I'm just saying his.
And I wired schools and hospitals and all kinds of stuff in East Texas when I was 15 years old. And I worked for Dow Chemical Company. I worked for the union out of Houston at Freeport, Texas, at Dow Chemical Company as an electrician. And well, we need to get that kind of stuff tended to. And I've not interfered with any of it, but I do understand it.
I just wanted to give you a report of what was going over there. And I'm keen on electrical too. I wire houses, commercial, residential and everything, but because I'm not a master electrician, I couldn't judge this and I couldn't just shut it down on my own. I had to bring Kirby.
I spent one summer reading blueprints for the foreman, James, because he couldn't read blueprints. I drove him around and read blueprints for him. But that doesn't have anything to do with anything. Let's go.
I'm done with mine, sir, unless there's any questions from the court.
Okay.
I'm brief, I'll be finished quickly. Okay, I'd asked the ladies to give me a year-to-date, and it didn't get put on here, but basically, road and bridge permitting this month collected $45,690. It isn't what it had been, it's more than it has been the last couple of months. Noticed in the San Antonio paper that we lost 3 operating rigs in the last week, but those that are running are pretty well running flat out, so somewhere between 30 and 45 or 50,000 a month is about what permitting is bringing in, this month being 45,690. Questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner, that's all of the reports. Number 9 on the agenda, tax collector's report.
Judge and Commissioners, due to volume of work, I do not have my report ready. I would like to present it at the end of the month. Have it ready for y'all then.
Okay. What is it this month that created the volume?
A tax collection. It's been crazy.
In February?
In January. Into January, yes, it's been very
Okay,
busy.
but we're 2 weeks near the end of February. You're not caught up, I assume? Okay. All right, it's a demanding job, which you know. Is there something y'all need to talk to the court about?
She was just asking if the Boy Scouts could go in front of me.
Okay. if we're gonna change, you're fixing to give the treasurer's report?
Yes, sir.
Why do we need to,
Well, that's what she was asking. I was just asking because these young people have been sitting here all morning. I didn't know
they're
if they had
getting
anything to do.
an extra good lesson in civics and county government, which perhaps is not a good lesson for them to get in this court, but nonetheless, we appreciate y'all being here. If you'll just sit with us for a while, we'll get you on out here. Go ahead.
Good morning. For January 2016, the beginning balance was $42,299,271.27. Receipts of $10,822,162.72. Disbursements, $3,382,697.36, for an ending balance for January 2016 of $49,468,736.63. I think on Luana, when she gave her report, she talked about the reimbursement from the Historical Society. I think it was in January. We also got the money for the Senate Bill 1747. It's like 1.7 million on that.
Any other questions? Okay. Any action regarding the treasurer's report?
Oh, I will just say there is a difference between Vi's report and my report. When I ran it and included it, I ran it with February activity on it also, so I will rerun my report to include in my presented report a corrected, revised copy that I will provide before it's filed. Also, my report shows the accounts payable clearing account and the PCA clearing account because they do have funds in them and they are part of the monies of the county, but the treasurer's office does not include those on her report.
I don't see how we can approve this if we don't have the whole report, then perhaps I don't understand what we would be approving.
Judge, I agree. We have the auditors here now, and I hope that we will have some clarification once they finish their work, I hope.
But can you tell me what, in Luana's report, there's a comment she makes every month, and no response, clarification to bank reconciliation spreadsheets and related support received from the treasurer's spreadsheet to Commissioners Court with October 2015 auditor's report presented November 2010, 2015. Are we going to address that, or is that a done deal?
I don't get a copy of the auditor's report, but I work on the bank reconciliations every month, so all I can tell you is Commissioner.
Well, this says bank reconciliation spreadsheets. I'm just trying to figure out where we're at.
I gave the same questions to you, Vi, at that time, and you have.
I'm aware of that.
You had these same questions and you don't have any response, is that what you're saying?
I'm aware of that. She gave them to me, yes.
Well, if she gave them to you, you had them, and you've had a chance to look at them. Have you not?
Yes.
Have you not?
Yes, I've looked at them, yes.
Okay, but you don't have any response to give to the court?
No, sir.
Okay. I don't see how we can approve these.
That's fine. I'll file it with the county clerk's office.
Right, yeah, it goes, no, I'm sorry. I just wanted to meet with you on this after.
Yes, and I
court.
called you back yesterday,
Yes.
and
I'm sorry, yeah.
That's okay,
just-
that's all right.
We both got busy, but if I could meet with you.
that's fine.
Thank you.
That's fine.
We're on item.
Now we got a voice.
What's 11, Boy Scouts? Are y'all ready?
An hour.
All right. This is a 2015 report to Karnes County from the Alamo Area Council Boy Scouts of America, marking the 106th anniversary of the Boy Scouts of America, the Eagle Scout presentation. And if you'll tell us who you are and what troop you're in, I assume you're in an Eagle Scout troop. And tell us what you've got.
Yes, my name is Kyler Palmer. I'm from Troop 115 here in Karnes City, and I have the report to county remarks. Greetings from the 18,130 Boy Scouts of the Alamo Area Council headquartered in San Antonio. With Learning for Life and in-school character education subsidiary of the Boy Scouts of America, the council serves 25,876 youth. I am Eagle Scout Kyler Palmer, and I am honored to be here today to report that the Alamo Area Council continues to successfully make forward progress in accomplishing its mission of instilling values in our youth, the leaders of tomorrow, by always following the local council theme of unified focus on youth. The Boy Scouts of America Alamo Area Council earned the Journey to Excellence Bronze Award status based on our performance in membership, program unit service, district leadership and governance, and finance. Most importantly, we impacted more lives in 2015. The Longhorn District serves 6 counties within the Alamo Area Council, which includes Wilson, Atascosa, Karnes, Frio, LaSalle, and McMullen. Our 2015 successes across the council include camping, 6,142 Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, and Venture Scouts attended summer and year-round adventure programs. Eagle Scouts, 351 Boy Scouts achieved Scouting's highest rank of Eagle Scout, contributing over 60,560 service hours with a value equaling $1,397,119.20 invested in our local economy and community. Of these Eagles, 14 were from the Longhorn District and 1 from Karnes County. Advancements. Total Cub and Boy Scout advancements grew 11,934. Mays Scout Ranch. Alamo Area Council completed a new 75-acre camp in South Bexar County, which provides outdoor adventure for all youth across the great state of Texas. Good Scout Award. In 2015, we had the pleasure of honoring entrepreneurs and philanthropists Jack and Laura Richmond, owners of Pizza Hut in San Antonio, and founders of the Richmond Family Foundation. They received the Good Scout Award that is in recognition of the importance that their leadership plays in our mission and community. Popcorn/camp card sales. Camp cards grossed $298,398 from 52,444 cards. Sold last spring with $149,198 retained by 225 scouting unions. San Antonio Mayor Ivy Taylor purchased our first bag of Trails Inn popcorn to kick off the sale in September, grossing nearly $1.5 million, with $540,000 of that going directly to scouting units. These annual fundraising programs provide the necessary funds for scouting youth to enjoy our outdoor activities. Eagle Scout Service Project of the Year Adams Award. For his work building a flagpole in Cibolo's Slather Park, Eagle Scout Alexander Putman of Troop 512 was recognized as the recipient of the 2015 Glenn A. and Melinda W. Adams National Eagle Scout Service Project of the Year Award. The Adams Family Award is a national BSA honor for outstanding Eagle Scout service projects throughout the country. Scouting for Food. Efforts of over 1,000 scouting youth and adults collected 15,150 pounds of food. This represents 11,836 meals that help feed food insecure youth and families in our local community. Finally, the Alamo Area Council continues to receive the support of our volunteers and community leaders as we're able to continue this tradition of adventure and service, keeping the campfire alive for all youth for years to come. Thank you.
Congratulations on your efforts.
Thank you.
It took a lot of work. I think I got past Boy Scout second class or something at one point. And everybody stood up and applauded because it was the best they thought I would ever do. And they weren't too badly wrong, I don't think. Thank you very much. We appreciate things y'all do. Who is the lady that's with you?
I work for the Alamo Area Council. I'm over the Longhorn District, so I get to travel to all the different counties and interact with the adult volunteers. This is one of our adult volunteers. She helped with the troop here in Karnes City.
Good, and what's your name?
Holly Pelosi.
Holly Pelosi. thank you very much for all the work you do. It takes a lot of work to deal with the scout program and the scout troop, and I admire all of the people that do that and wish we had more. I wish I was better as a scout when I was one, but I'm afraid I just didn't quite have it.
Todd, I had a nephew that became an Eagle Scout in Houston at Edlington Air Force Base. And I was really impressed when they had their ceremony because they asked all the Eagle Scouts in the room to stand up. And I want to say that half the officers in that room were Eagle Scouts. There was quite a few people there. So you're an elite group, a very elite group, and I'm proud of you.
I would ask all the Eagle Scouts in here to stand up, but I'm kind of scared to. Is there an Eagle Scout besides the ones that have come to appear before us? And if there is, well, tell us. Apparently there's not.
It's an elite group.
Well, see, you're a group of one apparently. Thank you very much for presenting this to us.
When I was little, I was part of 115.
For how long?
2 or 3 years.
They probably kicked him out.
Yeah, I think they did.
All right. Item 12 on the agenda, discuss, approve, disapprove, change order 6 to reduce the HMC contract for owner purchase furnishings and fixtures, and that's, the author was Lorraine. I believe you told me something before the meeting that's gone now, so let's go ahead.
Yes, sir. If we can act on this on Thursday, I don't have the final number on the short life equipment. We were still working on it. And I got it late yesterday. I didn't have a chance to check the number. I want to check it before I bring it for the report.
Okay. Is everything going fairly well as far as you can tell at this point?
Yes, sir. It's going much better than it ever has. The contractor told me this morning when I stopped by that they believe the health inspector is scheduled for Thursday. We're still waiting for a formal that he is scheduled for Thursday. But we are very, very close. We have the health inspection and the fire inspection, the fire inspector that needs to come out. Once they're done, Kevin will give us our certificate of occupancy. The testing and balancing has been completed, and we should have the report that's required to be submitted to us and the jail commission on Thursday, I'm told. So we're within weeks of being able to have the jail commission come down and inspect.
Okay, thank you. I don't think there's any further conflict with our neighbor down there that we've had some conflict with in the past, but I don't know of any. You may know something.
Not that I've heard lately, sir.
I see him down there fairly regularly, and I don't think anything's going on that's bothering him particularly at this point. As far as I know, Pete, you might see him sometime, I don't know.
Haven't heard anything.
Do you, Jay?
I see him all the time, but none of this came up.
Okay, all right. Thank you very
Are
much.
we talking about weeks, like in the March?
Yes, ma'am. We're talking about weeks. We're hoping to have the jail commission down before the end of February, which means the sheriff's department can take occupancy of the facility at that time and do their move-in.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You've got something
I have the
else?
next one also. So.
Okay. This is a report on the status of the county construction study, which includes the EMS, jail, and courthouse.
So on the EMS, Dennis and his staff moved into the facility, and they are they've completed the paving. Last week they were going to be striping, I believe on Thursday or Friday, after the trailer was moved. We've gone through, the furnishings have been installed from the furnishings allowance. The emergency generator is has been ordered, and I'm told it's 3 to 4 more weeks before that comes in. The fencing is underway, and the gate operator is underway. So what I wanted to do is give you a recap on the
project budget. On the far right-hand side, you'll see balance remaining, and on the left-hand side are the budgets that were approved by Commissioners Court. When we finish the project and pay the contractor their final retainage, we will have on the bottom total a little over $45,000 that will be under budget on that project that will be returned back to the county. So when we actually close out each of these items completely, you'll see a final that will show how much money we were under budget. But that project did complete under the budgeted amount that was approved by the Commissioners Court. And I have a recap for each of the projects. So I have the courtroom here next for the courthouse roof. On that project, as Pete had said, or Commissioner Gower had said, we did the roof inspection last week with the contractor, and we had a short punch list. The Texas Historical Commission they had to reschedule and come out this week, so they should be there today to do their walkthrough. We've prepared the substantial completion inspection report on that, and we'll just be waiting to finalize the closeout documents and do the final inspection within the next 30 days. On that project, we also will be under the budgeted amount. Once we pay MJ Boyle his remaining funds due and finalize the monies owed to Graham Loon, we will have the $69,000 in the project contingency being returned back to the owner, as well as another approximately $18,000 from the construction contingency, leaving us at $114,370 under budget that will be returned back. That will not be used in these budgeted funds.
Comments or questions from the court?
And then the last one is the jail, and we have been verbally told for several weeks that HMC says they will be ready for the jail commission inspection before the end of the month. So as soon as we have that in writing from them, then we'll be able to have the owner write a letter from the sheriff requesting they come down. But we've been telling them every week, giving them updates as to where we are, so they're expecting it any day now. On the jail project, again, same format. We have remaining balance for any of the funds that have been budgeted on each of the items involved in the construction of the jail. At the end of the day, once HMC is paid, we expect to have a little over $250,000 left in the budget. It's the balance of the contingency, as well as there was $131,000 left in the environmental cleanup portion to be able to do any additional cleanup on the environmental end of the project. So you'll have about $250,000 less than what was budgeted and moved over for this to complete the project.
That doesn't include any return of the retainage that for
No, sir.
delay or anything like that?
That's
a separate item.
That's a separate item that Mr. Chapman, he's asked for information from us that we've provided, and he will be handling that. So that's
I just want to
barring
make sure
that. Yes,
that was
sir.
two different figures.
Yes. Okay.
Where does that leave the landscape amount? Is it in this total amount?
The $250,000 that's being returned, 50,000 of it will be the landscaping. If you choose to move forward on that or not, that money is going back to the county. And we do have a landscaper that has given us some numbers, and when you're ready, we have somebody that's looked at it, but that was very reasonable. But I'll assist in any way I can if the county wants help with that at the end.
What kind of figure do you think the landscaping might run, Mrs. Daly?
We had $50,000 in there, which is $50,000. It sounds like a lot of money, but when you're landscaping, plants are expensive. So it depends on how much you do. You can certainly, the topsoil is in the contract. So the contractor is going to leave the site with the weeds removed and the topsoil in and properly graded.
So you can hydro seed, you can sod, and then you can selectively plant some low maintenance bushes fairly easily. Do a little bit of river rock and maybe crushed granite in places.
This is a thought for consideration when the court gets to that. At one time, and I haven't talked to him in a while, but Dennis Hale, who was our county agent here for a number of years, does that sort of work. I don't know that he would be any cheaper or competitive with a regular commercial firm, but I know he was doing a lot of residential, so just in case it comes up.
Does he live here still?
He lives in I have a phone number for him. I don't know if it still works, but I do have a number. So whenever
We can certainly ask if the court wants us to start pursuing and just asking him to come look at it and give us some ideas. We can do that. So we'll be ready. My thoughts were let Hale Mills get out and get that topsoil on, and then when the sheriff's moving in, we can do the landscaping at that time. And that way we won't have any fighting and
let's
saying
get
that
one
he did,
fire
he
put
should.
out before we
Yes,
generate
sir.
another.
Yes, sir.
Zero scale.
Yeah.
Solid concrete asphalt.
That would be
Drought resistant.
one
Okay.
good way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're at item 14. Discuss, approve, disapprove payment of $20,292 bill by Foster Construction for concrete work performed at the way station not previously billed. Work was performed in 2012, 2013 to be paid from the contingency fund. Pete, you're the author of this. You want to enlighten us?
All right, we talked about this at the last meeting, and the work was done. We all agreed on that, and Luana said they had not been paid. And so Ms. Foster is here to give us any explanation she can about it.
Don't have any questions?
Well, I do. I can't understand why we haven't gotten a bill and why this hasn't been paid. It was 2012, 2013. You want to enlighten me a little bit? I was not here in the county government at that time.
Okay. We had purchased the Hobson store and Barbadowski store in 2012, and we did some moving, and I got really behind, and I hired someone to help me, and my computer crashed in the midst of all that. So I've been playing catch up, and when we had been audited recently by the IRS, we noticed that this was not billed. So it's billed now, and the work was done.
And we owe it, and we need to pay it. And it really upsets me that we didn't pay our bills much sooner, and I'm not sure why the court didn't realize that there was something owed, and it was partly the court's fault. It wasn't just y'all's fault, I don't think. But at any rate, the bill is not barred by the statute of limitations. I've not heard any words from anybody saying that the work was not done or was improperly done. And that being so, I think we owe it and we need to pay it.
Move we pay it, Judge.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of paying the bill to Foster Construction for $20,292 for concrete work performed at the way station not previously billed, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. All voted for, bill be paid. Thank you for coming
Thank you
up.
very much.
You can send our commission.
Okay.
Item 15, discuss, approve, disapprove rules of procedure, conduct, and decorum at meetings of the County Commissioners Court. And each commissioner has a copy, I believe, that my secretary put with our stuff. And these, we have just put in the ones that existed and for approval again of the same ones. and did not add anything new. These have been available for a week or so, and I don't know that anybody's looked at them, but I was skeptical about them, and apparently they need approving just as they are. And it'll be the same ones that we've been operating under.
Judge, I took a look at them, and other than cleaning up a few typos and stuff like that Mary did, I found them to be the same, so I don't see a problem.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt the rules of procedure, conduct, and decorum at meetings of the County Commissioners Court?
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Everybody will have to sign it again,
yeah.
as well as have it filed with the court, with the district,
With
county clerk.
County clerk, right. So be sure that everybody signs it before we leave today, if it passes, hadn't passed yet. All in favor of the motion, is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign, all voted for, motion carried unanimously. And if we'll get the original up here, we'll sign it, I guess. Is this it? All right. Today's what, 11th? Right. Speeded up my life a couple of days. Today's the Lunar New Year. I think you're right. All right, item 16 on the agenda is to discuss, approve, or disapprove the adoption of Karnes County pauper burial policy, and the author is Shelby. You each have a copy, I believe, of the policy.
I assume everybody has had time to revisit this. The only thing on comment I want to make sure everybody understands, on the last page, there's a item Q. Is everybody agreeable to the $800, or we want to stay with $500?
Go with the 8? It's been 500.
I believe it's been 500, but things have gone up, so we increased it to 8.
I think 800 is, yeah.
Yeah, and I do also. I agree.
This is, and I don't think it'll happen here. However, and then it's not addressed in there, well, I guess it is addressed in kind of a passing sort of way about the services or the burials or cremations being done in an honorable and decent manner. I've heard some real horror stories in some counties about the funeral homes that did the pauper funerals, that they were burying people in refrigerator boxes and various and sundry things like that. So, and I don't think Eccles or Lance are going to do that, but I realize we're not giving them much money to work with, and I'm not proposing that we give them anything more, but I just would like to have a firm understanding with them that these people are deserving of at least a decent burial, I mean, regardless of their economic circumstance, and I realize they can't have a full service and all this, that, and the other, but, you know, I don't want to just dig a grave and dump them in, so to speak.
No, this addresses all that. And
Does that, does it outline a basic what you expect?
yes,
It does pretty well.
it defines the definition in terms from anatomical gift all the way to next of kin to remains. It defines all that. Gives us there's a section or section 2 as a legal authority, Texas Health Code 692A009 is who may make an anatomical gift of the deceased's body or part. It specifies that out. Then in general provisions, it talks about the proceedings relating to the final arrangements, pauper remains. how they'll be taken care of. And if it's something's decided, the cremation shall conform with all applicable state and federal regulations. And then authorization by the Office of Karnes County Judge is mandatory prior to pickup, transportation, storage, preparation, or disposition of remains. So the court has final. Then there's another one that says Section 4 has got special provisions and specific, provisions, which it lays out a set of rules to follow. And then at the very end, at the item Q, above the conclusion says that Karnes County will pay a maximum of $800. So we tried to address everything.
Shelby, I didn't read them verbatim, but I know in the past, it's always been the policy of the county that we pay for a pauper's burial and that's it. If there's any type of funeral or anything else, then they don't qualify for a pauper's burial.
Right, but it did addresses to cover a lot of this stuff.
Is it limited, I mean, is it just like the service of like one funeral home or both, the ones that are in the county?
Any county, if it comes to the county has to approve it for a pauper burial.
There's a residential clause in there too.
Yeah.
The other thing too that we talked about, and I think Pete had a great idea that I think we're definitely going to do, is we're going to send a copy of certified mail to each of the local funeral homes so that they have it on record of what our policy is. In the future, should we ever have to deal with it, they know that they have to contact this office before they can do anything if they know that there's nobody going to take responsibility.
And I asked this also be filed with the county clerks for official record.
What happens if the funeral homes do not want to cooperate in that agreement?
Then we don't pay.
We can't make them.
Remember, what do you do with the body then?
We try to get one of the others. We're going to send copies of this. They've been doing it, I think.
Yeah, they have been.
And they've been doing it for $300 less. It's been $500. We've raised it to $800. And we'll send copies of it to both the funeral homes in Karnes County and Karnes City and Kennedy. And there's one in Nixon, I believe, and in Floresville and Yorktown. And we'll send them to all of those. And pay any of them the $800 that will do the.
Does that give us any direction, Shelby, as far as what we need to do if we do run across that situation? Do we need to notify the court before, or just have someone pick up the body, or if we're in a situation in the middle of the night and we find that situation?
What have you been doing?
Normally just call the nearest funeral home.
Well, I think this is the same one we have. And we've been operating this way for.
Just defines it a little bit better.
So where do they bury them? Now, I mean, they're paupers, they don't have.
At a cemetery that will accept them.
Yeah.
Many cemeteries have a pauper section.
Yeah, I think Canada has two and Oklahoma City has two.
Yeah.
I read it, but that was a week ago. Does it give once it's passed, does it give the county judge the authority to approve the thing without having to go to court, so we don't have to?
Yes,
okay.
It does.
Okay.
County shall be the sole authority regarding the method of disposition of the remains of a pauper. County shall be sole authority regarding the facility utilized for the disposition of the remains of the pauper. County shall be sole authority regarding the location of the final resting place of the remains of the pauper.
And sole authority on whether it meets the pauper criteria.
Exactly.
If all goes down anymore, I may qualify.
Well, I've got a cemetery on my place in East Texas, and I've got one for paupers in the area, and I've got some space. If anybody can't get buried here, let me know. And I'll throw you in the back of my station wagon. See if we can't take care of you.
Just so you understand, Rob, this may also answer your question, but county will assume responsibility for disposition of remains of a person only when all other avenues of accountability, including responsibilities of a person and/or person listed in section 711.002 of the Texas Health and Safety Code, next of kin have been thoroughly exhausted
and it is conclusively established that a descendant is indeed legally entitled for county expense.
Sounds like what we've been doing in the past.
It is.
Defines it more.
But it's, at least we have something in writing.
Unless somebody has a suggestion, I move we pass them as offered.
I'll second it.
You move that we do what?
That we
Pass it.
accept.
Okay.
And y'all, and the court will have to sign as well. There's at the bottom of theirs for everybody to sign, and then we file it with the county clerk.
Yeah. And then I'll do whatever needs to be done
You gotta have some.
as a county judge.
And it's subject to be changed at any time the court chooses to. Maybe another court that does it.
And there's we've recited some laws in here, some statutes that you have to abide by when you do this sort of thing. And I think those are the proper ones to take care of it. Any other questions, comments? All in favor of there's a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion to pass this burial pauper burial policy. Signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. All voted for. Motion carried. Don't leave without all of us signing it. Item 17 on the agenda, approve set mandatory appellate judicial system fee for all civil cases filed with the county clerk, amount to be determined by Commissioners Court, and authors Carol Sweezy. Tell us the background, if you will, on this, Carol.
Okay. We've had some legislative updates, and I was reviewing the fees that we charge for all of these civil cases filed in our office. That includes probates and guardianships. And one of the mandatory fees that we should be collecting and have not been is for the appellate judicial system fee for certain districts, which we fall under. I got this information from the Office of Court Administration. It tells us what we should charge and then where the money will go, what the destination of the money is. And then I also pulled the statute that allows us to collect for that. So I've added that. I hope you all have that. And it's just it's a fee that can be between 1 penny up to $5. The fee is mandatory, but Commissioners Court does set the amount of that fee.
Number on the third page, I guess it is, I just want to make sure. Number E says the Commissioners Court shall monthly order the funds collected in this section to be forwarded to the Court of Appeals for expenditure by the Court of Appeals for its judicial system. Do we have to, who's going to pull that out?
He's asking about this, and that would be done through once the treasurer's office gets our monthly report, they pull out everything that goes in different places, and she's aware of this fee.
Yeah, the fourth quarter of the bills, we have to turn that in October and April each year, the monies to that, from the county clerk and the district clerks.
And you don't raise it $5?
Right, we've not been collecting it at all, and I would propose that we charge the maximum, which would be the $5. And that's for each new case that's filed.
As part of the court costs for filing the case.
Correct.
The cost for filing.
Correct.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir, if we're going to charge them $5 or whatever law library fee, whether it be in law, like.
We're not to that one yet.
Sorry?
We're not to that one yet. We're only doing the appellate judicial system fee right now, number 17.
Number 18 is the law library fee.
So hold that thought.
Okay, and we're on 17. We have a motion and did we have a motion?
Did anybody motion?
I move that we allow the county clerk to collect the appellate court at the amount of $5.
I'll second.
Is that right?
Yes.
There's a motion and a second to approve the mandatory appellate judicial system fee for all civil cases in the county clerk, filed with the county clerk. Why should that not be also filed with the district clerk? Do they already have the same thing?
It's possible. I just pulled the information regarding the county clerk's office, so I don't know. It's very possible that they should be collecting the same thing. And I don't know that. Like I said, I just pulled the county clerk's fees
Well,
on what
okay,
should be collected.
we've got this motion in the second, and let's go ahead and adopt this, and I'll check and make sure, and if we need to approve it for the district clerk, well, we'll put that on the next agenda. All right, all in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign, all voted for. Motion carried. Okay, is this, we were on,
That was number 17.
okay, and 18 is the law library fee for all new civil cases filed with the county clerk, and that's the same, well,
It's a similar situation. It's another fee that is
it's a different
mandatory.
fee, I understand. How much is that fee?
That fee can, again, is set by Commissioners Court, can be anywhere from 1 penny to $35, and I would recommend that we set that fee at the $35 for each new case filed.
And that would be part of the filing fee for the case when it's actually filed?
Correct, for any of the new cases
Yeah.
filed, yes.
Yes.
Retain any of that, Stewart.
The County Law Library Fund, it goes into the general fund, sectioned off for the Law Library Fund. That does stay with the county, and that is used to provide a law library for district judges, county attorneys. Anyone else? Is that it?
Yeah, it's available to anybody that wants to use it, yeah, at the court system.
That is my understanding. And it is electronic.
And if we exceed the $175,000, what happens with the over?
What do you mean?
Last page D, expenditures by county under subsection B3 may not exceed $175,000 per year. Any expended and unobligated balance allocated by the county for subsection B3 purposes that remains at the end of the county's fiscal remains available for subsection B3 purposes during the subsequent fiscal year. I guess he
Because
just,
you can't spend more than 175 per
but
year, and it carries over.
it carries over,
It's a recurring fund.
but it stays in that fund.
The same statute takes care of Houston and Dallas and Fort Worth and Waco,
Or they might have a whole bunch of,
and I don't think we're going to exceed the fee. I don't think we have to worry about that, but it's good to have it in there.
I move that we approve the mandatory law library fee on all new civil cases filed in the county clerk's office and set the fee at $35.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign, all voted for it.
Thank you.
Item 19, discuss, approve, disapprove, accepting revised 2013-2014 seal code maps to be recorded in Commissioner's Court minutes. Author is Mike Wozniak.
Guys, we did the seal coat program and we were running out of quantities for the seal coat. What we did was we omitted just some of the roads, the little 1/10 mile roads. These roads are the ones that we're going to either get reclaimed or they were going to put limestone on top of the road. And the roads that got omitted was a little section of 338, 230, 389, 382, 278, 127, 156, 266, 354, and 358. And they're in the maps. They all have asterisks by them, so this way you'll know which ones they are. A lot of these were just single tops that they already had asphalt down, but there wasn't no signs of alligator cracks or anything. So we decided to use that because we had to go with the 2-course on a lot of these roads.
How much total mileage is being omitted?
I didn't add that up, I did everything else on it, but, if I figured it right, it might be maybe about 5 miles, give or take. But they're little sections, they're not major thoroughfares.
Is this an accurate representative on this?
Yes, this is the revised one that we have right there.
And it shows length of 16.48 total miles and 86,854 feet in length.
Yes, and that's the work that was completed.
And you're saying that's all been completed?
Yes, sir.
And what in the future, where is
The future is the 2015, the one in green.
okay.
That's the future one that we've got coming up.
How many acres is that? Not about, I want to know how many acres it is.
How many acres?
Yeah, that's in the roadway.
Oh, I couldn't tell you that.
Well, you're gonna have to. Well, how many miles then? I'll just change it
I
to
could
your
go miles.
terminology.
I could do miles.
And the length in feet and miles.
I don't have a label.
Well, if you can go it, give it to us.
We have roughly 40 miles is what.
I don't want to know roughly, I want to know exactly what you're asking us to do.
Oh, this is just the revised portion of what was actually done. on
Mike, how many
14.
miles of it are you asking to be included in future? That's what it's about. Or maybe I don't understand.
So this is what's already been done on 13, 14. We haven't done 15, 16 yet.
Okay, we've done 14 and 15 and completed.
14 and 15?
Yeah,
Yes, sir. But this is 13, 14.
okay.
This is the very first one that the contractor defaulted on.
Of course, this is revising the 13, 14
Yes,
seal
sir.
code maps, and
That's 13, 14.
It says it's done, but it's not.
which has all been completed.
Yes, sir.
Which is not true.
Okay, what's not completed, that's on these maps.
Road 330. I'm not done.
What are you on?
That map up there says I have a paved road. I don't have a paved road.
At 330, we did a single course on the existing pavement is what was done. To say what we got.
I'm here to tell you that's just absolutely not true.
Doesn't matter in this world.
There's not 1 square foot of pavement on County Road 330 that's new that this county's done.
On existing pavement. That's
What
the
is,
part
there
of-
is no existing pavement.
There's pavement in front of the the cemetery.
Oh, God.
And it goes all the way down
I'm going to
to,
tell you right now,
to the
that's
truck route.
absolutely false. I drive that road every day there. And
All right,
I'm sorry.
it's not worth an
Apologize.
argument.
I apologize.
It's not.
I was there when they did it.
Well,
That's neither here nor there.
where are the revised maps? Is this the
Yes,
revised
sir.
map
Yes, sir.
that you're saying?
This is the
you want
revised map, and as you can tell, because if you look at FM 81 from Hobson to 1144, the old map don't even show FM 81 in there. The new one shows it, so this is right there.
Given that we're 2 weeks out from the engineer coming on, I think it would be a good idea to postpone this for a month and let him revisit it, come back and make sure that's where we want to be. If there's any action necessary, actual action necessary on this.
So Mike, you're asking us, you've struck in these roads here, you struck them, right?
Yeah, those are the roads that
What
were
do you-
taken out of the original.
You're just
map
showing
that was
us the maps to be,
updated with the roads taken out that were not.
Oh.
And that's all it is, it's just an update.
You know, I'd kind of prefer to wait till the new man gets here and let him look at all of this.
Verify.
and verify it all to make sure that this is where we are. Let's postpone this until next month when he's here.
Okay, that'd be fine.
Take a look at it.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
That was item 15. 19, I'm sorry, I was looking at 19 and saying 15. Item 20, discuss, approve, disapprove, implementing the utilization of the rounding feature as provided in Time Clock Plus as opposed to actual time. Use of the Time Clock Plus actual time accumulates comp time for each minute over 40 hours a week. Authors Vi Malone and Lawana Casper, if y'all want to.
Yes, sir. We had discussed this last meeting, and you wanted some input from the department heads. So what I did, excuse me, on Tuesday, February 2nd, is send an email to all the department heads asking them their opinion on the rounding of the actual time. I had given everyone a copy of that Thursday before the meeting, and Judge, I gave yours to Mary, but I have an extra copy if you'd like it. There wasn't any department head that responded that wanted actual time. They wanted to go back to rounding. It was easier for them to time sheets.
How many responded? How many department heads?
The Falls City Public Library from Dixie Moose said she had pulled all the
No,
library.
I'm not asking who or what they said. I asked how many.
But I was going to give you a count on the libraries would be 4, 5, Carol 6, 7, 8,
13 of them, wasn't it?
9, 10. I had 10 altogether. The libraries, the Karnes City and Romeo libraries responded, plus the department, the county librarian, and Megan and Jared responded also. So there was 13 altogether, but some of them were from the same department.
How many departments are there? How many should have responded? If they all respond.
14, 15, 16, I have to sit there and count all the department heads that I have here on the email. The Sheriff's Department didn't respond, but I know they've asked if they wanted to go back to the rounding department, rounding on it. Your office didn't respond, Judge.
I don't care where we go.
Everyone that was on this email list responded except for those few.
Okay.
So the only problem we'll have by this is that if someone is going to punch out at 5:05, and so that would get rounded off, I mean, they'll go back and sit down for 3 minutes and punch out at 5:08, so they get the quarter hour. Is that correct?
Well, if the department head lets them do that, I can't stop that.
Is
Yeah.
that the worst thing that happened?
Right. And an example I wanted to bring today, and I've talked to Michelle and to Lawana, and they both said we could use Michelle as a guinea pig on it. With her time, the way it imported into Time Clock Plus, because of the rounding, it gave her 80 hours in 1 minute, when her timesheet actually was only 80 hours. So now Elaine has to go back through the payroll master of almost 200 employees, and anybody that clocks in, which is about 150 or so, and go in and make sure they didn't actually show 80 hours in 1 minute, because it would pay them that 1 minute. She had 2 this payroll, and she had several the last payroll. And that's something that Elaine has to check, I have to check, Lawana has to check to make sure it doesn't do that. So it gives us more work.
And everybody is on a time clock system. There's nobody doing strictly paper.
The only paper ones we have are the 2 landfill gentlemen, because they don't have internet out there, or we would give them a pen pad. They can use their cell phones if they want to. They can download the app for the cell phones, but I'm not sure about the other gentlemen out there.
Just to clarify something for a second, I said it backwards. On Time Clock Plus, Michelle showed 80 hours. When it transferred into the financial system, it showed 80.01.
Yes.
Because of the rounding issue.
So if rounding because you used actual time instead of quarter hours.
Who decided this system? Who decided this? I mean, this just seems astronomical.
Well, back in
I worked at Dow Chemical Company and clocked in and out every day, and we never had a problem, never was a question about it.
Right, we've always used the rounding system, and in December, it was put on the agenda by Shelby and myself to talk about the rounding and manual adjustment of time required to reduce manual entry on the time clock system, and that's when Commissioners Court decided that we needed to do actual time because there was concerns with the overtime that we had just got through paying, when actually this is causing overtime because you have people that work 40 hours and 2 minutes in 1 week because they're using actual time. So we're going to have to pay them those 2 minutes of overtime. If we had rounding, if they had clocked out at 5:02, it would have rounded them up to 5 o'clock. We've always used rounding. And it wasn't a problem in the past until we paid the comp out and Commissioners Court decided we needed to do actual time. And as you can see from the emails, the department heads want to go back to the rounding.
Judge, I think the majority has spoken, and I'll make the motion to approve implementing the utilization of the rounding features provided in time clock as opposed to actual time.
Effective Monday, Sunday?
Sunday.
I say send it back there.
Yeah, the 14th.
I don't have any problem with what James is proposing or what's being proposed, period. I remember the conversation the last time we talked about this, and if I recall, there was some thought that Tyler Technologies that we pay a ton of money to might be able to come up with a better system, and maybe we don't want to reinvent the wheel today, but was there anyone looked in to see if they had anything better than Time Clock Plus?
They have a timekeeping system, but it's actual, you go online and it looks like a timesheet and you clock in and out, which is not feasible for the Road and Bridge Department because you would have to actually have a computer. We are discussing with them on doing an overlay where it will start showing up on their direct deposit stubs, their comp time, and their vacation time that's available.
I guess
We are
that
working
was
with
the
that.
issue that was coming up.
Yes, we are working with them on that.
Okay.
But there wasn't any comp time.
Well, like the Sheriff's Department, sometimes it's unavoidable.
But it has to be used within a certain period.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we
So-
have
Right,
a
and
use
the-
it or lose it.
The department heads are managing, when we had our discussion with the policy manual and the department heads, I think that, and it went before court, everyone agreed that the department heads would manage up to 40 hours. And if they didn't use that 40 hours, they lost what was over 40. So we're managing below the 40. It used to be 240.
Yeah, that's the law.
But we are all managing within the 40 hours of comp time, and it's used immediately in most departments. So that should not be an issue.
And I guess that's my point. We keep bringing things up that are not issues, and
Well,
There'll be departments that don't watch it because they already brought up that Road and Bridge was involved in.
Well, that's probably, because I know off the top of my head, he's got, the Sheriff's Department has some comp time also. There are
On the contrary, he said that theirs was used immediately and it's not happening in the other department.
For the most part, it won't be an issue.
Right.
Let me say that.
So, but we are, to get back to your, Commissioner Reynolds, we're talking with Tyler, and once we get all that worked out, then we'll come back to Commissioner's Court to start using that
I just wondered.
overlay. The Time Clock Plus system won't change, but using them as the actual timekeeping for the overtime and the sick leave.
I'm totally unfamiliar with what's available out there in the electronic world as far as doing these things go, so that was just a
Okay.
generic
Yeah.
question.
And we had talked about that last time. So there was a motion.
There was a motion and a second.
Thank you. I couldn't remember, sorry. Thank you.
Any other discussion? I just don't quite understand this problem, and I've worked on a time clock, as I've said. If we cheated, we got fired.
The only thing is, Judge, private businesses are not allowed to use comp time, so it does not become an issue. You get your overtime, or you get your straight time, whatever it may be, and that's it. But they don't accumulate comp time, and the benefits may not accrue accordingly. But you're a lawyer, you know that.
All right, we'll give this a try and see. Maybe by the time it comes up next time, I'll be gone.
Let's hope.
And somebody can straighten it out the way it needs to be. I don't think this is the way it needs to be, but I'm not gonna argue about it. All in favor of the motion, we got a motion, that's second. Signify, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. I'm gonna vote against it just because I'm not clear that it takes care of it.
Thank you.
4-1. Item 21, the executive closed session is authorized in section 551074 of the Texas Government Code for personnel matters to discuss the status and option of the current road administrator with the hiring of a road engineer effective February 29, 2016. There is an approved position as assistant road administrator in the Road and Bridge Department budget that supports the road engineer position. Author is Judge Long. And we'll go into executive session in my office. Call the meeting back to order.
Ready? Judge, I would move that we...
Wait, just a second.
Are we going to restate?
No, I'm just looking to make sure we were on number 21 in the closed session. And we're now on item 22, discuss, approve, disapprove action on the status of the current road administrator position results.
Okay, if we're ready, I would move that we offer Mike Wozniak the position of assistant to the engineer at an annual salary of $57,500, of course, plus the benefits that accrue.
Okay, there's a motion for 57.5 and additional benefits that go with it. And I'll second that motion. So there's a motion and a second that we offer Mike Wozniak as the assistant road administrator, the salary of $57,500. Discussion. Nobody has any discussion?
May I make a comment? May I make a comment?
Sure.
Just based on the salary survey that was conducted, the maximum salary for that position is $55,067.58.
What we did, Luana, was take the 55 and put the one, slide to 1.7 and a little rounding.
Why?
Because that's what we thought we should do in this particular situation.
A discussion, I mean, no particular anything decided.
So that engineering degree is worth $7,500 that y'all sign has?
Not saying that. It may not be worth $45,000 when we get into this, but this is what the court has proposed at this point.
And this is what you're gonna tell the taxpayers? You're gonna
We've
report?
just said, we're not going to, we've already said that.
And you don't think they're deserving?
I don't know what you're going to do. Do whatever you want to as a taxpayer.
I understand, I just said, don't you think that we all pay your salary that we deserve explanations?
Well, we think that we have to do the best job we can each do for the county, and that's what we're trying to do.
This is not justification, but it is explanation, and that is we were able to hire the engineer for $35,000 less than was budgeted. So we have a little wiggle room.
That's crazy
Yes,
philosophy,
yes.
David.
Well-
I mean, you know, you got a man with 25 to 27 years experience from TxDOT with a 4-year engineering degree from Texas A&M University, and you have a guy with a high school degree that's been fired from TxDOT twice.
That this defies you constantly.
You've asked to put forth a plan, you've asked him to do multiple things,
And
and he doesn't do it.
Openly admitted he doesn't know how to
He
build
doesn't even
roads.
follow what you approve.
How much evidence do you need you have these
It
companies?
stands right there.
I would tell all of y'all that if you want to pursue this line that you run for office.
I have run for office, and that's a bad answer. You are there to serve this public, the people who live in this county.
With my
and not to give a
best, with
smart
my
remark.
best ability, and that's
Well, I
not
would
to
carry
sit
that.
out and argue and carry
I
on.
would say to you all, if this is your best ability, then maybe you should think about resigning, every one of you.
Say whatever you want to.
I will.
You have, and I'm gonna, if you act ugly, I'm gonna put you
I'm not
out.
acting ugly.
You're sounding ugly.
I can sound any way I want to listen to your talk.
Well, you've got the court and their discussion. You vote however you want to vote. If you want to run for the court, be happy and run. And anybody else that wants to. That's one of the privileges we have.
I think perhaps there's a skewed view of what the decent salaries are out there, and apparently we need to tell all of our children not to go to college, because you really devalue a college education. You absolutely do. And I've got 3 of them right now. One of them graduated out of Princeton University, and her starting job, she was offered $50,000.
And so, what does that have to do with
It
what?
has to do with, you need to tell our kids not to go to school. It's not worth it. It's not college
Tell
education.
tell yours whatever you want to tell them, and I will do mine the same way.
Let me mention something to you otherwise. If we can't find a consensus on the court, and you're, pardon me, bitching and belly aching, Mike stays at 73,000. So if we can't find a consensus, if we can't find 3 people who will come together on the court to vote for a salary change, he stays at 73,000.
Actually, it's 74,000 plus.
74,000 plus. So the old attitude of politics is the art of the possible is in play here. You got to have 3 people who are in favor of it, and if you don't, nothing happens, and if nothing happens, he stays where he is. So,
Well, not necessarily. You could do away with the position.
yeah. Well, that would be the next option, would be to dispense with the position, but we can't do that
Why?
on this docket.
Okay.
Well, I guess you could, but anyway.
Then we don't know, and we don't know any of the explanations, we don't know any of the report of your reasoning, not any of it.
Well, we do know that the 5 that are sitting up here were elected by the people in this county, and to exercise their best judgment, and that's what each of them are doing. And that's what we're going to continue to do. And if anybody thinks they can do better, they need to get out here and do it. And run for office, and be elected, and do whatever you want to do then.
Well, when
It just doesn't require any more, and we're going to keep on with this kind of conversation, and ultimately going to quit with the public conversation and let the court do their business. And that's what we're going to do pretty quick if it keeps going like
we
this.
just get you to do your part.
No, it doesn't require any more discussion. So, we've got a motion and a second before the court for payment of how much?
57,500 plus accrued benefits.
Accrued benefits, not accrued, but
Well,
benefits.
whatever.
from that
Benefits
amount.
to be accrued.
Yeah, okay. Is that what you've got?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any further discussion? Anybody on the court? Being said, all in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion failed, 2 to 3. Okay, is there any other motion in connection with item 22 before we move on to the next item?
I had a preconceived before we went into executive session, I considered things, and I thought we ought to pay Mike $5,000 less than the engineer. So therefore, I'll make a motion that we pay Mike $60,000.
My explanation for, I'm about to second that, I second that motion. My explanation for that is because I think it'll be vital for him to stay here and get together with our new engineer, because he knows everything. He's going to be able to help the county get ahead with this new engineer faster. Y'all wanted an explanation. Y'all may laugh. I really don't give a damn if you laugh now, but I'm telling y'all, have my explanation. Thank y'all.
Okay, there's been a motion, and was there a second? Did you?
Yes, sir.
You seconded, okay. Any further discussion by the court? All in favor of the motion to pay $60,000, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion failed, 3-2. Is there any further discussion?
I'm not
or-
going to even offer a number because my number is a lot lower than Commissioner Reynolds was, and that died, so I don't think my number will pass either. My number was based on the midpoint of the salary survey, and it was $50,061.44.
How much, say that again, please?
$50,061.44. That's the midpoint of the salary survey.
I'll second it, I'll give it a shot.
Okay, is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all for the motion, it's $50,061.44.
That's what's stated in the salary survey.
Okay. All in favor of that motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion failed. So,
Perhaps we need to revisit at the next meeting.
I'm thinking that what we probably need to do is adjourn for lunch and come back and finish the meeting after lunch. Sure.
Judge?
Yes.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it after lunch. Is it going to be regarding anything to right here, or just those couple of things we have left?
Well, I think we might visit this again, and give everybody time to think about it. And then go on with the fishing, or we can stay and look. This is up to y'all.
We can discuss it right now.
I'm okay with it now. I mean, it's up to you, whatever you
Well,
want, Judge.
I really don't care. I mean, well, let's don't go, let's try to get through, that's what we need to do.
Yes, sir.
Is there any more discussion on the item 22, which is the matter we're discussing and voted on?
I know that the person we hired for road engineer said he really wants to, again, keep the assistant road administrator. I just don't see that you've got two foremen and then you've got the assistant, and I think the assistant should be just barely above what the two foremen are making, just to coincide. That way you're rewarding the guy for having his degree. And that's me. I guess I'm stuck on that. Otherwise, if we can't settle on a salary, we terminate the position? That's something we'll have to ask ourselves. I think we ought to give Mike the respect of letting him continue to work at whatever salary we come in. I don't want to run nobody off, but if it gets down to it, that's a decision somebody else has to make.
That was going to be the next thing I brought up. Was there enough stomach on the court to just abolish the position of assistant administrator, which basically means when the other fellow comes, Mike is out of the job.
I think the engineer stated that he needed an assistant to abolish that position. I don't know if it would be wise, and if we abolish it, we put it back up, because, I mean, we have an engineer, and he straight out said that he needed an assistant.
Or you make have a lead foreman, 3 foremen and a lead foreman, and working from there, not calling an assistant road administrator.
Well, Shelby, you mentioned the salary of the foreman, and currently they're in the budget at $47,135.96.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't make the same.
Yes.
Because we both have the same experience.
Well, the engineer we hired did say he wanted an assistant. And I think Mike knows what's going on there, and he needs an assistant in the transition period. And as David said a while ago, if we don't make a decision, he stays at the same salary as for a transition period, however long we decide that to be. I don't want to do away with the position. The engineer wants it. He was told that he'd have an assistant. So I think we need to keep Mike on, at least for a transition period. And even if we agree on the salary, Mike may not accept that salary, and he may agree just stay on during the transition period, whether it's 30 days or 45 days or however long this engineer feels that he needs it. But we told him we'd have an assistant for him. So we would have to revisit it and advertise for another one or do away with it at some point. So therefore, I would make another motion and lower my amount from $60,000 to $59,000. In other words, I'll make a motion that we keep Mike on at $59,000 as an assistant to the engineer.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we've got a motion and a second that Mike's salary become $59,000. Is that correct?
Yes, Judge.
Any discussion? I think we really about discussed it out. We need to come to some kind of conclusion of this thing, I think.
Judge, could I say something for a moment?
Sure.
During the budget workshops, 4 of you voted to reduce the salaries of 3 of the chief deputy clerks so that it would be the midpoint. The whole discussion was that it would be the midpoint. And I think that's what some of you have tried to do here, is get to the midpoint of this position, because you're not supposed to pay the person, you're supposed to pay the position. You all reduced 3 clerk salaries by $3,000, which I realize is not as much as what is being talked about today, but it was a reduction in their salary, and it did hurt some of them. And so I'm just asking for the same thing for anybody. If you're going to reduce the salary to midpoint, make it fair across the board to midpoint.
Everybody was reduced to midpoint throughout the whole county? There was no changes in any midpoint?
I'm specifically talking about reducing someone that was being paid more than midpoint at that time, being reduced to midpoint. And I think that what was proposed the first time by Commissioner Reynolds was midpoint plus the 1 point, or whatever it was, the increase.
Well, what's a double standard, I think, is what she's asking, while you're proposing a double standard.
What's proposed originally was the maximum plus the 1.7.
Okay, so the 57 was maximum plus 1.7.
the maximum is 55,067.58
Okay.
plus 1.7 plus, in David's words, some rounding.
Rounding,
Got to the
yeah.
57.5.
Other discussion? Motion? We need to resolve this matter, and that's what everybody on this court's been elected to do, is resolve problem matters that we have.
Well, I will just throw my 2 cents worth out there, which normally doesn't hold much credence, but it is a position, as Carol said, not the person that you're paying. And if Mike doesn't take this, then you're opening up the door for a bargaining position for someone else to come in and step up. You've got 2 foremen that could step into the position. It doesn't look good equality-wise to differentiate again from your midpoint, maximum, et cetera.
Well, I personally was not part of any of that, I don't believe. And you're saying, and
The court voted to reduce those salaries. I don't remember.
And
who
I
the exact
did,
vote
and I
was.
did vote with them. But, I mean, we've tried on this one, and we have differences of opinion, and I'm not sure that we can resolve the differences. We've not been able to at this point. But, I'm not sure how this is going to affect our next year's budget. We're going to start budget workshops next week, or this week. We've got one scheduled, I believe. And we need to make a decision on this particular matter, I think, to get us going down the road in the budget.
Judge Maurice,
Go ahead, what?
Yes, sir, you brought up the budget, and just based upon what I've heard, there's going to be a significant decrease in the amount of money available for our budget in the coming year. You might want to take that into consideration because I think there's going to be a lot of positions that are going to go away. And I'm not talking about road and bridge, I'm just talking about countywide, because there's just not going to be the budget to support the staffs that we have today.
Well, thank you. I think we're all aware of the budget problems, and doesn't mean that we necessarily know how to vote good, but nonetheless, I think we're very aware of what our budget situation is. We do not have a final budget figure at this point, but we're going to start this week working on budget matters, and it's going to be affected by what we're doing today. But there are other ways to affect the budget, some of which we'll probably use and some of which we won't. But with that said, I mean, we've tried to do without having a big fuss or knockdown drag out what we each think is the right thing to do, and that's what we were elected for. And I don't think any of us have changed appreciably, although there's been some small changes. So that being said, I'm not sure where we go from here, personally.
Motion and a second, Judge.
Yeah. And if you'll repeat the motion for me again.
The motion, Commissioner Yauer made a motion to offer the position to Mike of Assistant to Road Engineer for a salary of $59,000 plus benefits.
Okay.
And Commissioner Rosales seconded it.
And is there any further discussion on that motion? All right, all in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion failed, 3-2. So we're still at the same place.
still believe we ought to stay at the midpoint of the salary survey. That's where I think we need to be.
And that's what figure?
That was the number I threw out before, 50,000.
6144.
And I think that's being consistent. I mean, it's an offer. Maybe not what's the popular one, but I tell you what, I think is the right one, and it's to me, it's the right number for this position at this time.
I'll make a motion that we pay $50,061.44 for that's the assistant engineer.
Assistant to the.
Road administrator, not engineer, I'm sorry.
Second.
Okay, there's motion and a second to pay $50,061.44. Is there any further discussion? Okay, we'll have a vote. All in favor of that motion signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. And are you abstaining?
I might be against it.
Okay, well, I didn't see you raise your hand, I just didn't know. All right, well, the motion carried 3-2. And so the salary proposed for the assistant road administrator is $50,061.44.
And that is effective February 29th?
Yes.
Yes.
You need an amendment on that, or is it just okay to add?
Okay. We're on item 23 of the agenda, acknowledge certificate of compliance presented to the Karnes County Sheriff's Office from the Texas Commission on Jail Standards on being in compliance with Texas minimum jail standards, author Judge Long. And I have a copy of the letter that's addressed from the Texas Commission on Jail Standards. It's addressed to Sheriff Dwayne Villanueva, Karnes County Sheriff's Office, 210 West Calvert Avenue, room 110, Karnes City, Texas, 78118. Dear Sheriff Villanueva, the Texas Commission on Jail Standards wishes to acknowledge the excellent work of the Karnes County Sheriff's Office with a certificate of compliance for the Karnes County Jail. The most recent inspection of your facility on January 19, 2016 by Texas Commission on Jail Standards Inspector Philip Boskus has demonstrated that your facility is in compliance with the Texas minimum jail standards. The certificate of compliance demonstrates your outstanding leadership and the diligent work of your staff in complying with minimum jail standards. In addition, this achievement is a direct result of your office's commitment to excellence and is an example of dedication and professionalism in maintaining a safe, secure, and sanitary facility. Providing the essential budgetary support for jail operations is also imperative to achieving compliance, so let me also congratulate the Karnes County Commissioners Court for their vital support of jail operations. The citizens of Karnes County should be proud of your combined efforts as is the Texas Commission on Jail Standards. Respectfully, Brandon S. Wood, Executive Director of the Texas Commission on Jail Standards. And I'll put that in the minutes of the court.
Robert, how much did it cost us to get that inspection cleared?
A lot of luck, Commissioner. That old facility's in pretty bad shape.
I figured that y'all had to do a little schmoozing and PR work on that thing.
Yeah, they're in
Very, very.
Probably sometime.
That they acknowledge.
Yes. Well, that's what we did.
Yes. No, this is for the uranium business.
Oh, okay. And item 24 on the agenda, acknowledge notice of approval of uranium exploration permit renewal application to Uranium Resources, Inc., parentheses, URI, close parentheses, Karnes County, and the author is Judge Long. Okay, and that is just acknowledging notice of approval.
Who issues that approval, sir?
I'm sorry,
Who issues the approval? Is it the state or the?
the state issued it.
The Railroad
It's
Commission.
the railroad mining division.
I had some information and I looked through it and I called John Caudle to the Railroad Commission. He said it is renewal of an existing permit. It is be on the Butler Ranch, which is County Road 199. They'll have access through Thomas Moy's property. The landowners, he assured me that they will do a better job than they did in the 60s of inspecting when they're going to core drill and find out where the ore is down there. He assured me they'd do a better job of sealing the holes than they did before, that there would be an inspector on the job. And the landowners of who this 1,050 acres are listed are a Butler from Three Rivers, a Collins from Rocky Ford, Georgia, a Collins from Miller, Georgia, a Lanier from Medding, Georgia, a Little Page from Springs Ranch, Texas, a McBride from from Tomball, Texas, and an Ora State from Floresville, Texas. So that's, I asked a question.
That's generally Jerry Butler and his family members. I don't think they're all kin to the Butlers, but they're the owners of that land out there.
Are they going to be notifying us when they're going to be coming across our property to go into they're saying that they want access to our property to go in?
Are they going to what?
Notify us when they're going to,
Well, I don't think they'd have right to go through your property.
I only read what the permit said. You know, I read what I got out of the permit.
They already may have access that just renewed the permit.
I was going to say your lessor should be the one who would notify you when there's activity starting, not the Railroad Commission.
Okay, but somebody should not be notifying us.
I would think so. I mean,
I'll give you a copy of this letter when we get through it. Ted, you got one? Oh, okay.
You want to follow?
I just was wondering, they would be notifying us. Because we lease some of it, I mean, we have a ranch there and we lease another, so many acres from Little Pages. So
Yeah.
I mean, it would, that part of it, I think, would be contingent on your lease term, Cheryl, more so than the state's regulations.
Well, that's just something you've got to deal with them, and we don't know that that's anything.
I
Don't
just
really.
wanted to make sure that we had catalysts in there.
And Pete, this is,
They may not come over to do anything till next year. It's just the permit is being renewed.
But they will have to contact us.
Yes,
Well,
I would hope so.
Pete, this is all a leaching field operation, no open pit mining?
Yes.
This is only core drilling. The
Core
permit is
drilling.
for core drilling.
Okay.
That's all it's for.
You won't see no more open pit.
Don't know where open pit is, okay.
okay. We've got one last item, pay bills on the agenda, 25.
Turn to page 10 of the bills. Midway down the page is a payment for the blanket employee bond, $642.89. I don't know how many of y'all remember, but in December on the 31st, we paid $1,417 for our blanket employee bond, but we had to update our listing because we've had several additional employees. We jumped from 88 to 158. So at the back of your bills, I have provided you with a list of the different employees' positions that are covered under this specific employee honesty bond. So that's why there's the increased premium on that. 2 items down, out of the contingency fund, we are paying outside counsel $5,025. On page 11, the 4th item, $4,661.25 is for district court appointed attorneys. The 6th item is juvenile detention services this month, $2,019.80. The next item is our participation in the public defenders based out of Lubbock in case we have a capital murder trial. They will handle it, and our contribution this year is $2,581.17. The next payment, $800, is for county court-appointed attorneys. About midway down, you will see EMS facility, $4,880. That is on the current construction contract of the completion of the EMS. We have courthouse restoration, $824, and we have $3,456 on the jail facility. About a third of the way from the bottom is a miscellaneous identified item of $2,101.36. That is for tire recycling at the waste facility. You turn to page 12. Our prisoner detention cost this month through the Sheriff's Department is $4,235. Halfway down, there is an expenditure titled District Clerk Expenses, $5,640.80. That is having new civil books done out of the district court records. They are really nice looking books. You ought to go look at them. 4 more items down. Road materials purchased this cycle, $719,420.82. 3 items down, contractors, equipment and services, $52,455. Those are various expenditures for contractors on County Road 302, 218, and 219, $31,515. Culverts, $7,700. On County Road 258, $4,880. Not identified by county road, but a road crew, $1,860. Expenses on County Road 260, $2,400, and on County Road 261, $4,100. On page 13, the total of the expenditures this cycle, $1,094,462.23.
Where does that put us on our total budget for this year, percentage-wise?
These are not included on the budgeted figures I gave you earlier because those are just through January, and we were right at where we need to be for the 4 months.
Okay.
We basically expended a third of the budget.
Getting it right.
Well,
at least.
As a total, there may be some line items that are.
All right. Thank you.
In general fund, the AR management, is that the billing fees from EMS?
Yes, that's the original billing company.
Okay. And this is just a comment that I noticed, and it's a positive comment. The Floresville Power for our JP2's office is $99. That's half what we're paying for similar space in Rome, because it's usually around $200, and I noticed that out of sync deal. But anyway, just for what it's worth.
On that note, David, the discussion earlier about the remodeling of the office at the yard in Rungy. I know during budget time it had been discussed to possibly move JP4 offices out there.
Yeah.
So that might be something that needs to be further discussed
Warren
during the
has made
budget.
it sufficient.
I have no idea the size of that office, but it may be something to look at.
I didn't see an autopsy in here, but I see a charge from Eccles for transporting. Was that someone on an autopsy?
Yes. We just have to receive the bill from the medical examiner, yeah.
We had a lot of Hill Country software, or Hill Country, whatever it is. Are we in the process of changing some things up or something of that nature?
The Hill Country software charges that you see are the annual maintenance fees for different offices and support. We are, of course, doing the transition on several offices to Tyler, but to remain operational during this transition, we've got to have support.
Let's see if there's anything else. Co-file preservation in district and county court, is that the new?
That's the new books, yes.
I noticed the last several cycles, and Mike left us, so we can't ask him, but there's RPMX construction that all of a sudden has started showing up the last few budget cycles. And if you look at their website, they claim they are a residential construction company. And I'm questioning, how did we get a residential construction company doing work for the county? And I'm not, that's kind of a rhetorical question, because obviously you don't know, but
I believe that's what they have been contracted to do, is different culverts.
okay. And we paid our fire fees for the quarter.
Yes, sir. We also, not only the fire fees, but the amount that we pay to rural fire in lieu of taxes is also paid out in this cycle.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of paying the bills, signify by raising your right hand.
That we agree on.
All voted for.
Move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Sign the bills.
All in favor, just leave.
Not mad.
Don't run. Get-
Drive around.
Give the public a chance to chew you out.
That's the kind of thing here. It's easy.
Back door is a